Jonathan, what you doing? Hey, how you doing? Thank you. All right, Stephanie, you ready? All right, this is JU 2016-000-088.01. And this is, we're in Cleveland County, though we're having this status conference here over here in Calhoun County. Court has jurisdiction both in Calhoun and Cleveland County as the 7th Circuit Court. In the juvenile court, in the matter of John Doe, whose name is otherwise unknown, a child. Okay. Let me identify who's all in the courtroom. On behalf of the Department of Human Resources, they are represented by the Honorable Shelley Barnhart. Who's at the table with you there?
This is Leslie Smith.
Ms. Smith, and you're represented?
She is the HR supervisor of Cleveland County.
Okay. And then parents are in the courtroom, and the mom's name is
Danielle Holm.
Danielle.
No.
No,
Middle name Nicole.
Nicole.
And then Chole.
And Holm is the way you spell your last name, right?
Mm-hmm.
But y'all were pronouncing it all kinds of ways. It seems like Holm was the most commonly used pronunciation.
Holm, yeah.
Holm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then Dad's at the table.
Yes, my name is Christian Clark Holm.
Christian.
Yeah, Christian. Middle name is Clarke. Last name Holm.
Is the E on Clark on? Is that that's your given name?
That's my middle name. Yeah, yes.
Okay. And then Carrie Kirby, Honorable Carrie Kirby is here. And I'll identify kind of what your role is in just a second.
Yes.
You can get everybody here first. And then the guardian ad litem is also present in the courtroom, the Honorable Allison Miller. Is that right?
Yes,
All right. A couple of things. Let's talk about your role first before we go too far down the road, okay?
Yes, sir.
You don't have to stand up. I appreciate it. You don't have to stand up. Y'all help me out with this if I need it correcting, okay? It seemed like y'all had some lawyers at the shelter care hearing, and then they did not represent you in the dependency case, but Mr. Kirby was assigned to kind of be on standby at the dependency case.
Yes, sir.
Now, when I say dependency case, Ms. Holm and Mr. Holm, do you both understand what that was?
Yes.
Okay. So, and you were kind of the standby counsel. Mr. Holm did a lot of questioning.
Yes.
And then there was a day when you spent some time doing a lot of questioning.
Yes.
And then you took a back seat again, and then he started back questioning. So now, was there a rift between the decision about whether they wanted your help or not, or were you just trying to? I'm trying to figure out what you're doing.
Well, I was appointed on December the 5th as standby counsel. Then I think on December the 14th we continued the trial. I was still standby counsel. My status has never changed from standby counsel.
Okay.
There was an agreement between the Holms and I that they didn't want me to represent them. We at one time talked about me representing just Christian Holm in the case, and then we came to an agreement that they didn't want that, and I filed a motion to withdraw.
Okay.
In that case.
Yeah, that motion's still in front of me and has not been ruled on.
Yes.
And I didn't want to rule on it until I kind of got you here and asked you your thoughts about what you wanted to do, and then asked the dad and mom kind of what their thoughts about what they wanted
Yes, sir.
you to do for them or not for them. So, do you want to continue to go on by yourself, or do you like the idea that Mr. Kirby's a standby person that you can rely on for resources or questioning, or what do you want to see happen to Mr. Kirby at this point? Not that I'm going to do it, I just want to know what your thoughts are.
What do you mean?
I think that would be,
We believe that we would be able to handle it ourselves, and we have nothing against Mr. Kirby. We like him a lot.
No, I understand. Okay.
But we
Fair
feel
enough.
it would, nobody knows our case better than we do.
Okay. All right. Then the court having, and Mr. Holm, would that be your opinion as well?
yes, it is.
Okay. Well, then the court having given an opportunity for the parents to weigh in on whether or not they want you to continue to assist them, I will, before I actually grant the motion, I'll also say this. I think, I'll ask you I guess Judge Walker actually appointed you as standby counsel?
She did appoint me as standby counsel. Yes, sir.
Well, then I would expect that you would need to get paid, to be quite frank with you. I know there was some, I think, response by you that you indicated you didn't think you thought you just volunteer your time and energy, but I'm not sure I'm going to accept that. You'll need to file, I'm just telling you, you'll need to file an appropriate fee deck on the services that you provided up to this point, okay? And
Yes,
then, is there a motion? Do you have any pending motions that you have filed that you're going to need to argue as we talk about these status?
Well, any motion that I would have filed electronically was done just to assist the Hollands, so they're really pro se motions. The last motion that we had to address before Judge Walker recused was a motion to dismiss the petition, and that's the last one that I assisted them with drafting and filing.
So all the motions that are pending are done pro se. Anything on their behalf has been done pro se, but with your assistance.
Not the last one.
Not the very last ones.
The last motion. How many?
There's only one that we haven't done.
There's only one left that I assisted them with, and that was the motion to dismiss the petition.
Okay.
Based on the.
It sounded like there was only one more motion to be heard.
There was.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
So the only motion to be heard, am I correct in this? Is a motion to dismiss the dependency petition?
Yes, sir.
That's it.
That's the last motion as part of the trial. Yes, sir. And then all other motions.
Judge,
Yeah.
I could interject. After we, I guess, finished up testimony for the trial,
Right.
since that time, while we've kind of been in limbo, a little bit, for lack of a better word, there have been multiple other motions filed, but they're not the dependency trial-related motions. They're post-trial and other things that have come up.
Okay.
There are a lot of motions pending out there.
All right. Do those pending motions have to be ruled on before I do anything else with this dependency side of the case in terms of a ruling? I mean, do they?
I don't believe so, Judge. The only thing that is out there potentially pending, I know that There was something filed in the juvenile case that I believe has been sent up to the appellate courts as far as the mandamus goes.
Okay.
I can
So I don't know what the status of that, because I didn't receive notice after it went, wherever it went. I just received the notice that it was filed in the juvenile case.
Okay, fair enough. You got something?
Yes, sir. We actually decided to allow the mandamus to dismiss because we don't want to extend this any further than it needs to be. And the motions that we filed while we were in limbo, as Allison said, it was to try and get custody back of our child, and due to his situation and our situation and how we explained it in the motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing you say is that there was a pending mandamus, and what I'm hearing you tell me today is that you want to withdraw or move to dismiss that mandamus. Is that correct? Did y'all file it?
Yeah, we did file it, but
Have you filed a response saying you want to withdraw it?
no, we haven't. But we were told that it's not on docket. So if it just pins out that
you're willing to indicate to the court this morning that you are orally moving to dismiss your mandamus. Is that correct?
if that'll work, yes.
Has there been a response?
Where was that mandamus filed?
It was for the
Any
Supreme Court.
response has been made to that mandamus?
And the mandamus was pretty much to have this case as a speedy trial to get it pushed forward.
I can comment on that in just a minute.
Okay.
All right. Now, Shelley, when I said this status conference, I think the order said it was a status conference only, so I wasn't going to take up a lot of what I call substantial or substantive motions. But I want to share with y'all kind of how I got involved. Okay. Initially, I was appointed to take this case on, and the reason there's been a slight delay is because we have two family judges in this courthouse, and if a judge recuses in Cleveland County, before it lands on a jury trial judge's desk, it should be handled in family court, where the family judges are. Okay? Not because I don't feel qualified. I mean, I was a family judge for 5 years, and I practiced family law for about 25 years. So it's not that I'm not qualified. Or don't feel qualified anyway. At least I've been exposed to things I should have learned over the years. You know, I'm not saying I'm brilliant, but at least I've been exposed to a bunch of stuff over the years. So I felt like it should run the normal gamut of being presented to the family judges first. So I asked the presiding judge to make sure it went through our family court. They both got it, and they both recused. I didn't look at their specific refusal. I just know it got they both recused. So then it ended up back here. And I think our presiding judge thought because I'd been a family court judge for a number of years, because I practiced family law for 25 years, and I don't think the fact that I was a youth minister for 11 years had any bearing on that assignment, but maybe it did. I don't know. But be that as it may, I got the case now. And as soon as I got it, I undertook to try to catch up to speed. So that's how the case got up here on my desk. Now, so this is a status conference. Everybody's clear on that. Just to kind of feel about what is going on. All right? judges pick up a case, there are two ways they could approach it. You know, some judges would say, you know, I want to know all that happened, you know, before I got involved. And they could say, you know, that was then, this is now, we're going to start from scratch. That's an option. You know? Now, I'm sure you're sitting out there, and I'm sure you're sitting out there, y'all, I say you and Mr. Holm, Mom and Dad, and the guardian thinking, oh my God, let's don't do that. You know, we've covered a lot of territory. Let's don't start over. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, I figured y'all would think that way. And I figured she'd think that way. And I figured they would think that way. So what I've done, I spent this past week, I have listened to every word of testimony that's been given in this case.
Mm. Okay?
And I reduced it all to notes, which completely fill this legal pad and part of another. So I have heard your case. That should be some consolation to you. You know, that we don't have to start all over again. In fact, after I resolve any motions that y'all think I need to really hear other than the motion to dismiss, you know, I can make a decision. I could probably make one in about 15 minutes. But before I consider making a decision, since this is just a status conference, I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to do a little homework before I come back. I asked the guardian ad litem, I called her when I got the order appointing me to this case, and I said, I want you to give me a written recommendation about what she thinks is in the child's best interest. Now look, I thought your argument at the conclusion of that case and the letter that your husband read on your behalf into the record was really beautiful. You know, I got that. But I also thought, you won't like hearing this, but I also thought that the things that people have tried to do or really had to do were appropriate. You don't want to hear that. I get that. But I thought that all that they had to do, particularly beginning on the night that you went into labor, it could have been a disaster. Okay? So I wanted to know, you know, this may or may not be important enough to have a hearing over, but I wanted to know who prompted the first call to 911 asking for help. So y'all are aware, are you aware, Mr. Kirby, do they know that I've asked that to be done in my order?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the reason I did is simple. I wanted the 911 record itself, because I wanted to know who had the good common sense to call for help. Because I felt like Mrs. Holm needed help. At that particular time. I'm not saying you need any help right now. But right then, when that child was about to be born, you needed help. More than he could provide. And I say he for the record, your husband. So, you know, giving birth has certain problems associated with it.
We agree.
Postpartum hemorrhage. You agree?
Yes.
Postpartum?
Postpartum means after the birth.
Right.
Hemorrhage. What if you don't stop bleeding? You know what? Then Mr. Holm gets to raise the child however you want because you'll be dead.
Right.
And
Hold on. That'd be a disaster.
Yes, it would.
But a distinct possibility you can give birth.
Mhm.
Retain placenta. When folks who don't know what they're doing have a child being born, there's a cord attached, and you pull the cord, the placenta may pull too hard and leave the placenta in the mom's womb. That's a disaster.
Mhm.
You got a nuchal cord wrap.
Mhm.
The possibility that the cord wraps around the child's neck while it's in the womb, or as it comes out. It could tear or suffocate the child. Child's born with ultimate symptoms of cerebral palsy and never has complete neurological development. That's a problem.
Mhm.
Shoulder dystocia. You know what that is?
Mhm.
What is it?
When the baby's shoulders get stuck in the pelvis and you have to turn them.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Sounds simple, doesn't it?
No.
Good. It is not.
Mhm.
You know, the head gets out, he's gasping to breathe and all that kind of stuff. Well, he's sideways.
Mhm.
You know how many children are born with neurological effects
Yep.
on their spine as a result of that dystocia?
Yep.
Bones break, nerves are permanently damaged.
Mhm.
They're born with limp arms or paralyzed because of the stress on their nerves.
Mhm.
You understand that?
I do.
That's a danger.
It is.
Got a couple more.
Hmm.
Erb's palsy, paralysis of the arm. You know what that is?
Say it again.
Erb's palsy, paralysis. You know what that is?
Of the arms.
Yeah, because when you're trying to get that neck out and you're trying to pull one side out ahead of time, you got, you know, a lot of strain on the arm is trying to come out with the
Right.
shoulder.
Mhm.
Right?
Yep.
That's a disaster for the child.
Could be.
Could be.
Yes.
Inverted uterus. It inverts, it pulls out.
Yep.
You know what that is?
Mhm.
Okay. Now, you know, of course, you got your normal tears.
Right.
If those aren't properly sutured and don't heal well, for lack of a better description and somewhat gross description, you end up using the restroom out of your vagina instead of your rectum.
Mhm.
You don't want that.
No.
So those are problems.
Mhm.
Now, Mr. Holm,
Hmm.
are those all illegal? And would you break the law if those things happen? No. Because, you know, you were concerned about, you know, we didn't break any laws.
Hmm.
May not have. I'm with you on that.
Hmm.
But this is a civil case. And we talk about negligence and risk and all those kinds of things. So I will tell you, not having made a ruling yet, that you might have been feeling good about your choices for natural childbirth. That's awesome. A lot of people do it. The hospital has provisions for it. Did you know that? You can have a child in the hospital, have a water simulated tank up until the moment of birth, and then move toward a natural birth without drugs or medications.
We did not know that.
Completely acceptable.
Yeah.
Were you aware of that?
No, we were not.
I know.
Yeah.
Listen,
We started with a midwife, so.
my mom had a midwife deliver my brother in the bottom of a basement while bombs were dropping over their head in Frankfurt, Germany. So I know a little bit about natural childbirth through my mother's personal testimonies about it.
I know.
Now, do I think that's all illegal and of the devil? And no. But these are risk factors. So when y'all say we haven't done anything wrong, you know, I have to just respectfully disagree in a few regards. That is, a child's life and proper development was at risk.
That's why we called 911.
Well, let me also explain too. Yeah, there's more
With
to
a
it.
911 tape, and I'm going to listen to it. And I'm gonna hope to hear one of y'all's voices. Not that it makes or breaks this case.
It's missing and we have proof
Yeah,
on
they've,
our phone.
for some reason, somebody's hiding our call.
I know y'all, it's missing.
Somebody's
Our
hiding it.
phone call, we have
Yeah.
tried finding for the last 4 months. We've called every county. Nobody can produce it, but it's in
And
our phone.
we have recordings of the calls of where we spoke to these counties.
Is that your phone recording?
We printed out, we don't have a phone recording, we printed out when we called, and we called at 6:29 p.m. on 10/9/2016, 15 minutes before that call.
Good.
And it shows my mother's phone number a day before that, my car payment bill, Santander call right after that.
And I would just like to say that we made that judgment call together
Nobody else
because of the
was there.
situation.
Good for you.
And also, we read many books of
Went to midwives.
birthing,
spoken to midwives.
went over what you were talking about with turning the baby as it's coming out.
I get all that.
Yeah.
I get it. I ain't buying it.
Yeah.
I could read a book on how to ride a bike all day long. I ain't riding a bike from a book I've read.
Mhm.
You're not properly delivering a baby from a book you've read.
That's why we called 911.
Good for you. That was a good use of your good common sense that God gave you.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Now I know that you feel like
And
God will provide and God will do all this. But God also gives us a brain
Mm-hmm.
to use. And I'm not saying that y'all are unlearned and uneducated. I think you've got good things.
I think it was a part of our belief to try and have a natural birth.
Listen,
With
when you
the
talk about
original.
belief
Yeah.
and good common sense, I'm right with you.
Mhm.
I spent 4 years at the Southern Baptist Seminary,
Mhm.
coming out of a church at age 18, asking a whole bunch of questions about life and about suffering and about purpose.
Mhm.
I get that.
It was our religious belief.
And we just wanted to try with the backup plan of calling 911, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what happened.
I like people with strong religious beliefs and convictions, but I like them surrounded by good common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well,
And I have to say, after I've listened to all the evidence in this case, there was a dearth, that means vacuum, of good common sense when you're dealing with, what, 2 onesies and a blanket?
That's false too.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's what I heard.
False.
Mhm.
But I never saw any pictures of anything
I have
else.
pictures right here.
What you got? But I tell you what, since this is a status conference, you submit those pictures, I'll consider them when I make my decision.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay?
I think.
You see where I'm going with this, don't you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but listen, don't panic,
Mhm.
because I'm gonna consider this recommendation by the guardian ad litem. You're not gonna have a lot of work to do at our next hearing, neither one of y'all.
Mhm.
It's gonna be short and sweet, and you may not like all of it, you'll probably like most of it. You'll probably be like most of it. 'Cause this is gonna get resolved and resolved pretty fast.
What I would like to mention is that if we could look at the evidence and/or facts that the DHR organization have at the time of taking our child and/or at the shelter case hearing of the petition.
Let me tell you what I think about that. It reminds me of the story of the tar babies. You know, once you get your hands on something, it's kind of hard to turn loose of it. You know, they were invited in, so to speak, by the 911 call.
Who was?
Who was invited?
Them. The 911 call goes to a medical provider.
Mhm.
The medical provider begins to give you care treatment. When they feel like in their minds, whether they agree with you or disagree with you, when they feel like in their minds that a child is at risk based on what they're observing. Now, the child laying on your stomach and being tended to, no emergency there. But as the young girl from DHR testified, I'm not sure if it was you or somebody else, you know, when you kept on her about what did I do wrong, and you know, you kept asking the question of what did we do wrong, what did we do wrong? I don't know if wrong is the right question, you know. The question is, what could we all be doing that's in the child's best interest? Now, would I have liked to see that child stay right there where it was and not leave your side? Absolutely. Absolutely. But would I, if I'm in their shoes, and they have to sort out who you are first, which ultimately has been resolved, you know. I'm asking you to try to indulge a little bit of patience for a bureaucratic, state-sponsored agency who you think is of the devil, who is given the responsibility of making sure children are not abused or neglected.
We respect the judicial system.
Yeah.
We don't respect lies.
I understand that. You know, when you say lies, the court has to make decisions about what they believe to be the facts in a case.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking facts. Thank God the child's born healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Thank goodness.
I will say to that, I am a very holistic, organic person, fruits and vegetables. I try not to eat meat as much as I can. My entire pregnancy I spent exercising. I spent with organic prenatal vitamins. I went to doctors. I got sonograms. I had these things happen. I made sure he was healthy at all times.
Awesome. That's awesome.
We'd also like to make notice that we took the... Okay. Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. My mom, who's 94, all I heard all my life, you got to eat your fruits and vegetables. You need to drink your water. We're not buying Coke for this house. One reason I think she did is because she believed that's healthy. Another reason I think she did is because she's cheap. She didn't want to buy Coke. That's not. But I appreciate all you've just said about that. But here's where I have trouble in this open discussion we're having this morning. Here's where I have trouble. You're about to deliver a baby. You know it's coming, correct? I'm not even sure I knew from testimony how far along you were.
I was about 42 weeks.
So
Full
that would
term.
be time to go, wouldn't it?
Yep. And I really, really wanted to try as much as I possibly could to be in nature with God as
Right.
natural as possible.
I agree.
With the backup of a cell phone being right next to us. We befriended the state park superintendent. We told her
Let them know everything
what
we
was
were
going
doing.
on. Everyone was fine with it. Everyone knew where we were.
Thank goodness they did, because they had to get that ambulance up there pretty quick.
And when we called 911, the ambulance came.
Good for you. It's a good thing the park ranger knew where to direct that ambulance. Because you know how long it takes a baby to suffocate in the mother's womb when it can't get out? How long?
Not long, and I will
Not
say
long.
I was in labor for another 13 hours after that.
Right.
So I had a good amount of time. Once I called 911, I was still in labor for 13
Thank
hours.
God you did.
Yes.
Well, what would have happened?
It wouldn't have happened because I would have called 911 as soon as I knew I had to, which was
Let
what
me
I
ask you a
did.
few simple questions.
Okay.
Where's the nearest 911 car?
911 car?
The ambulance, the transport vehicle. Where is it?
Well, they said they came from Piedmont.
Okay. Well, listen, is that the closest?
I'm
We're not from
sure.
here.
Right. Where's the closest, Michelle?
Judge, it's probably the Cleveland County EMS. They're located on Highway 46, which is between downtown Heflin and the 205.
You're from there.
Exit. Yes,
How
sir.
long of a drive?
I don't know exactly where the parents were in the state park, but I would estimate at least 15 to 20 minutes from, well, probably 15 minutes from where EMS is to the bottom of the mountain, like 281, where you get on 79.
Fair enough. 15, 20 minutes at the best. This one came from Piedmont, because they rotate EMS calls. And I guess when the call went out, they don't fully appreciate exactly what's happening in terms of timing. 15, 20 minutes. Closest car. Closest ambulance. You with me? You understand where I'm going with this?
We hear you.
You hear me?
We're not quite understanding, but we hear you.
Yeah. Well, let me make it real clear for you.
Yeah.
How long does it take a child to suffocate in a mom's womb?
I don't know how to answer
don't
that
know?
one. Yeah.
Do you know?
No, I do not know that.
Do you know?
I am using my common sense to know not very long.
2, 3 minutes?
Yes.
15, 20 minutes? You don't have a baby boy home.
Are we going with what ifs?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was
Because
still in
you know
labor
what?
for
'Cause
13 hours.
we use our good common sense to avoid the what ifs.
And we did by calling 911 as soon as I knew
Oh,
that there could have
What
been.
happened to the 15-minute drive?
There wasn't that bad of a problem to.
Thank God. But what if? I know that's not a fact, but that's a reality in life.
It could be. I could leave the courtroom right now and get hit by a car.
Absolutely. What if the strangers hadn't given you food and water?
We had food and water.
What if they hadn't given them to you?
It would have been all right because it was just offerings.
We had our own
Right.
food and water.
Right. What if somebody stops along the road and just grabs your wife up while y'all are walking from Montgomery to Chehaw? What if?
We were always together.
Oh, well, they just knocked him out. He's not that big.
Well, we have to have trust in God and loving God.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why we live in such a perfect world where none of this stuff happens, right?
Well, we hope it doesn't happen.
We hope.
And we hope that the judicial system is put in place so that way peers can be governed by peers until we can find.
Here's where we differ.
Yeah.
The judicial system does not cure all of the ills that befall people. We're a place of last resort. People end up here because of tough decisions that they either made or did not make. We are the worst place to be the fixer. Isn't that safe to say?
Ultimately, we would like to be from brother to brother, sister to sister, to be able to handle situations, but I don't think we're there yet.
No, I think we got a long way to go. But,
Yes.
you know, I'm just trying to make a point.
Yes.
You could almost not had a baby on board.
I wouldn't say we could have almost, because I was still in labor for 13 hours and he was delivered perfectly healthy.
Thank God.
We trusted in God.
We trusted in God and we called 911 and we did what we had to do.
I can tell by sitting here, it really won't matter how much I talk. You know, I'm glad you believe the way you do, but I am entrusted with the decision to make about what's best for a child. Good, bad, or indifferent, I've got that responsibility.
Okay.
While I respect and will appreciate your religious considerations about decisions you've made, in my humble opinion, and I will do this in the form of an order maybe, or maybe not, they are very risky. Okay? I can't let your religious thoughts and beliefs interfere with what I think is best for your child. I'm not Superman. I'm not the brainchild of raising children, but I'm old. I'm old. I have two children, a girl 27 and 22. Love them. Die for them, as you know, just like anybody else in this. All parents say that about their kids. But I can't let what I would perceive to be, even though things worked out well, 13-hour delivery, lucky for you. Maybe God has his hand on you.
Exactly.
You know, absolutely.
And he was born completely in the sac, engulfed in the sac, no risk of infection.
I get all the prophecy, he's a divine child, I got all that. I'm not being cynical about it. The reality is, you're lucky. You dodged a bullet.
Does that mean that everybody for the past thousands of years was lucky before hospitals?
God bless them. That's right. The reality is, we have hospitals, and we know a little bit more than we knew thousands of years ago. I get the Mary and Joseph, and I get the design, you know, all that. I don't know that y'all are creationists or Christians. I don't really know.
We don't classify ourselves as any title.
We just
Okay.
follow.
Well, you said you were creationists.
No, we didn't. Actually, somebody else said that. We
I
never said.
thought I heard you say you were.
No.
No, I said we did. We protect creation. We try to stand up for creation.
You're minimalist.
No.
No, we're just naturalists.
No, Tony Hamlin said
Yes.
that.
No, you're naturalist.
Well, I don't like titles. We just try to live as close to nature as possible. I think that's the best way to say it.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
So I'm focused a lot of attention over here. I think, are y'all liking what I'm saying, or you just thinking that it's okay if the judge is just talking?
Yes, sir, we're listening.
Okay.
I would also like to say it's within my DNA. I'm actually in the process currently. I'm an investigative journalist in Canada right now who's done a lot of work over the last month with my genealogy, and I'm about to do a DNA test. I have Native American heritage on both sides of my family, with my mom's side and my dad's side. I'm closer
I
on
like
my
the
dad's
Native
side.
American language, you know why? Because it's a very smart thing for people to bring that up in court, because there's a Native American standard that has to be applied in this case. So be on notice, that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So when it gets here, I'm learning in that field. 'Cause I got a grandma, great grandma, like Cherokee. So I'm good on that. It's just a matter of certain kind of verbiage and language. So let's make sure that that issue is fully resolved, and we can call the tribe and let them see if they want to weigh in on this, so we can get flipped, at the appropriate time. Did you make sure that doesn't
They have,
happen?
DHR, she's informed me, they have sent that in.
Okay, good for you.
However, they don't have my dad's side of the family, which is actually closer.
Right.
I just found it.
Hey, we'll
so,
accept the fact that there's an Indian strain running.
in my blood.
No problem.
So,
We'll handle that standard, we'll handle that legal standard at the appropriate time. And we'll find a way to either hybrid it with what we gotta do, or consider it. Either way, I want it out there. And I want it spoken to. And I want us to have ample opportunity, which means that I might have to prolong, unfortunately for y'all, a decision until we let the Indians come in. If that's where you're going with it.
Well, we can,
So you want the Indians involved?
it might be necessary for that to be because it goes along with our religious
No
beliefs.
problem. The problem with the tribe is that they got a long way to come.
Well, if they will come, we will welcome them.
I cannot wait for the cavalry and fight this myself, or I can wait for the Indians, and we can prolong this matter. You want the Indians to come on in?
All right, so if you could show me any evidence or facts that the DHR organization has any jurisdiction over us, then I can answer that question.
Okay. It's not my job to tell you that, but I'll accommodate you, okay?
All right.
The law indicates they are a state agency that requires that they look out for the care, control, and custody of children who are in need and or are dependent. It's an Alabama statute. I'm not going to read it to you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You don't want Mr. Kirby, that means you feel like you can take care of your own business. This is not my responsibility to educate you about what the law is, but I will tell you the law gives them that power. Go read it.
Mm-hmm.
Google it. Case law dependency actions in the state of Alabama. Learn it for yourself. Okay?
It says that they have actual jurisdiction over us.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And they have to do they have to make what's called reasonable efforts.
Mm-hmm.
In your mind, they haven't made them.
Mm-hmm. No, they haven't.
In my humble opinion, I won't say they have or haven't, but I'll say they've gone a long way down the road to doing all the things that they probably need to do to make sure the child is protected until they find out what the deal is with mom and dad.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll say this. If I'm a dad, and I have a mom who wants to be a mom like that,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bust my tail to make sure she is going to have every opportunity to have that child at her side. That's what I'm going to do. So if I have to endure a visit at the department, with somebody looking over my shoulder, come on down. If I have to have a supervisor, if I have to go to a certain location, if they put a bed of coals out there in a fire, I'm walking across them. You know why? Because my consideration for my wife and my child is more paramount to me than some of my religious beliefs at that time.
Okay.
You might not like that.
Well, I like our constitutional rights, and I feel like they're being violated.
Good for you, but your feelings really don't matter to me.
It's not a feeling, it's our constitutional
You
rights.
said I feel like they have been, so I don't really.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be so blunt, but I really don't care about your feelings.
Well, I think
I just have to do what I have to do as a judge.
right. We just ask that our constitutional rights be upheld, and that the burden of proof is on DHR, not us.
At this point, your constitutional issues are not that important to me. I'm concerned about what's best for your son. So let's don't get hung up in theory and academics and legal matters. Let's talk about what's best for your son. You want to raise him.
Of course I do. Of course we do.
You want him with you just as quick as possible?
Yes.
Don't y'all have a few things that you've asked them to do?
Yes, sir.
Basic things. They haven't asked you to travel the world. They've asked you to get a roof over your head. Have some
We've had a
water.
roof over
Oh.
our heads since we left the hospital.
Hold it.
Okay.
You had an argument with the lady who was going to buy you a camper because you wouldn't put it in your name, according to her.
I didn't have an argument with her. She's the one that stole it out from underneath us.
Really?
With
Did you own it?
donation money.
Did you own it?
Did we own it? No.
Who raised the money?
Well, it was told by the church that it was the church that raised the money. Yeah.
You got a lot of nerve.
I speak truth like it is.
No, you don't. You're full of baloney.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm really
Don't
not.
get me going on this.
Yeah. Well,
Look, she raises money for you. She starts to provide you with a camper, and then you gripe that they can't be put in your name.
no, I did
You know
not.
what I say? You know what I say?
What?
Thanks for the trailer. We're gonna get baby boy home in this trailer, and y'all come on down and watch us cook.
Actually, that's what we did. We tried to do that.
That's what we did, but we were told.
You dissed her. You distanced yourself. Everybody that doesn't do what you want, Mr. Holmes, home, we're all demonic.
No, we did not distance ourselves from them. We were told that it was going to be put in our name, and then
We're getting cranked up now,
yeah.
Good.
I'm not cranked up at all here. I'm speaking truth.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Holm, you know some of the concerns that they have?
Yes.
They, being the Department of Human Resources and all the folks that testified in this case, they're concerned about and I'll be kind about this, about your mental health. You feel like in your mind that you've got a good mental health.
I'm speaking to you right now, face to face, and I feel like I have mental health. I think I'm confident, and I'm very objective right now.
Right. I'm glad you think that way.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it doesn't match with reality. Okay?
Your reality, or whose reality?
You figure that out. And when you do, you'll go a lot farther in getting your son back when you come to grips with that. Okay? Now, you know what you're supposed to do, Ms. Holm? You know what y'all are supposed to do?
In regards to what?
Give your son back. I mean, that should be an answer that you should come out with about like that.
I know what they are asking.
No, I'm not asking you. I'm not asking what they're asking you. What do you think you're supposed to do to get your son back?
I think that we should have had our son the entire
No, I'm not
time
asking
because
what
it's
you
taken
should.
on
We're going
lives.
forward, period. What are you supposed to do to get your son back?
I think we're overlooking the petition of lies.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to your wife.
I
What do
know
you
what
think
they
you're
are
supposed to do?
telling us to do.
No, I don't want you to tell me what they're telling you. What do you think you should have to do to get your son back?
We have a camper full of all baby's needs.
Okay.
We have running water.
Great.
We have electricity.
Great.
We have a car. I've had a car the whole time with a car seat in it ready to go.
You got it.
I have formula now because my milk dried up.
I know, that's tragic.
I have
hate that.
diapers. I have wipes, 800 to
You
be
got all
exact.
that, don't you?
I have
Right.
everything.
You like that little lady sitting back out there who we call the guardian ad litem? Do you know her?
Allison Miller.
You like her?
I'm getting to know her, but I like everybody in this courtroom.
I don't know that you really like me.
No, we love everybody in
We
this
love
courtroom.
everyone.
We might not like their actions, but we love everyone.
Good answer. This young lady back here is called the guardian ad litem.
hmm
Do you know what her job is?
To take care, to make sure the baby's interests are met.
The law requires that any infant or child in Alabama who's a party to a legal proceeding, which unfortunately yours became one, okay, has to have a lawyer.
Yep.
They have legal rights, just like a real person. Somebody has to speak for them.
Right.
She's been given that job. Like it or not, whether you like it or you like it or she likes it, she's been given that responsibility to make sure the child is provided for, just like they were. Okay? Now, past being past, we can make a lot of quick progress if we don't get hung up on academics and theory and religion and anything else, I just need you to tell me what you think you need to do to have your son placed back in your care, physically. I'm not talking about legally. I'm just saying physically brought back to your home with certain requirements. What do you need to do?
Well, I
What
just,
you've already done?
I
You
just,
don't need to tell her. She's got a voice of her own.
We're one.
No, you're not. I'm talking to her.
okay, I do have my own mind, so I can speak.
Absolutely.
So we have pictures of everything that we have.
Okay, I got a question for you. Have you got the guardian ad litem out to the house?
Not yet, and we just met with her yesterday to speak about things.
Wait a minute, she's been on the case since October.
Right, because this is why. We are afraid of these people twisting and using everything against us because of their lies.
Right.
So we don't want, unless we have something
That's
on,
worked real well for you, hasn't it?
at least if we can have something on paper showing exactly what's needed to prove when they come to our house, we have no problem having somebody come to our house if we can have something in writing showing what is necessary beforehand so that there's no ifs, ands, or buts.
Can we have that
You
right?
got a list?
Judge, I did meet with the parents yesterday. I told them that I don't necessarily have a list. They did show me the pictures yesterday.
Some of them,
But I
yeah.
have asked, actually at the last ISP, I met with the parents after, told them that I did want to come to their home, that I would do that without DHR, and if they didn't want DHR to know their address, that I would come out there and see it myself.
Wait a minute.
Just so I could actually see where they were staying.
I got you.
I met with
You
them.
can keep that to yourself, and we can deal with that at the next
Okay.
hearing, if that's how it's gotta, we'll take a baby step.
Okay.
All right, I just won't barge in and, although the norm is, if you're not willing to give an address, see you later.
I'm afraid of them, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
We don't live, we're not from Alabama. We're being held here hostage
So,
because of this
I don't care
this
if you're
event.
from Alabama or not.
Right. We were migrating through Alabama.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, you chose the wrong place to stop to deliver a child.
We completely agree.
Yeah. We'll let you go as soon as we know that the child's being provided for and taken care of.
Okay, so
You
what
gotta make that happen,
what
right?
I was
He
going
was since day one.
Well, okay,
so
sure.
if we can have something in writing showing
I'll
exactly.
tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have Ms. Miller, sit down and propose a long drafted list of requirements that newborns should have available to them.
We would need that to come from DHR since they're the ones that are trying to impose that on us.
You gonna let me finish?
Yes, sir. Sure.
That draft will be shared with all folks in this courtroom. You can do that, today's Friday, you can do it over the weekend. Okay? Make sure you sit down with them when you go over that draft. When you're doing the draft, if there are things that Ms. Holm does not agree with, make your list and make her list. If she says that's just too much, I want to know. Because it will tell me what good judgment she has. Because at this point, I hear some good judgment and some not so good judgment. Now, this list will be a lot more specific than the normal, gotta do this, gotta do that. Are y'all still wanting to require a psych eval? I'm not saying back away from it. I'm just saying if you want it.
Either the psychological evaluation or proof that he's getting treatment.
Okay. All right. The Savannah, you were prescribed medicine from Savannah Counseling? Is that who gave you your medicine prescriptions?
That's not my latest, where I got my latest medicine from, no.
Who writes up your prescriptions for you, Mr. Holm?
It was a lady in New Hampshire.
Is that after Arizona?
That's before Arizona.
So New Hampshire, Arizona, was it Florida, Georgia, or how'd that work? New Hampshire, Arizona?
No, we went went from New Hampshire down to Florida, over to Colorado, Arizona, back to Alabama, driving.
Okay. Where'd you end up dropping that camper?
The car in Montgomery.
No, the camper. Didn't you have a car and camper at one point?
No, we had a car.
Never had a camper?
No, we had a 10-person canvas tent that we.
Did you tow it behind the car?
We had everything in the car, and a little trailer in the back of the car carrying all of our stuff.
Oh, hold on. Let me check. What did you have a car with it inside the four doors of the car, or did you have a little pull trailer behind the car?
We
Pull
had
trailer.
A little pull trailer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's just call it a camper tent camper, whatever.
Okay.
You
Well,
towed it, right?
It was a utility trailer behind the car.
You towed it.
Yeah.
Well, you dropped it before you stored your car, didn't you?
So as we were traveling across,
Yeah, just a
State,
simple
yeah.
yes or no.
Yes.
Did you drop it
Yes.
before you stored your car?
Yes.
Thank you.
yeah,
All right, so you dropped your tent in the camper.
Mhm.
That would be considered your home place, correct?
no, we still had our
We still
tent, our
have
canvas
everything.
tent. We still have all that
So
in
you dropped
the
trailer,
vehicle.
but you put the tent inside the back seat of your car?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All
So
of
you had your, how big's the tent?
Well, when it's folded up, it's
No, I don't know how big it is to live in.
10-person.
16 foot. It's 10 foot. I mean, it's a 10-person tent.
You put 10 people in it?
Yes.
Okay.
And we had cots and foam mattresses. And,
All that in your car?
Yes.
So that you basically dropped the trailer and converted your car into a home on wheels?
Yeah, we were trying to free ourselves from possessions, and it took time to do that.
Who is the proponent of losing all your possessions in order to live naturally? Who propounded that philosophy?
Jesus.
Sure about that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely.
Sure it's not St. Francis of Assisi? You sure that wasn't his predominant philosophy of theology?
I've never heard of who that is. I don't know who
You
that
ever
is.
heard of St. Francis of Assisi?
No.
We're not Catholic.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Could you explain who that is?
Nah. It's got some good stuff, but we gotta read it.
Okay.
All right. I'm not Catholic either.
Mhm.
Okay. So, just to pick at you a little bit, you feel like Jesus is your inspiration for selling all you have and living without?
Can you explain to me why this has anything to do with our son being away
Well,
from
I
us
mean,
right
your
now?
husband made his religion a big point when I first started talking, so I'm just asking you. I want to sort of look inside your mind just a little bit.
Yes, we want to
know what you think and how you feel about things.
we want to follow the way of Jesus.
Okay. Do you think he's? I'm not mocking you. I'm asking you. Do you think he's the one that proposed selling all you have and live simple?
Jesus said, "Rid of all your possessions and come follow me."
Okay. Do you know where that's at in the scriptures?
I can find it real quick if you want me to.
No, I probably know where it is. So.
There's actually a few places of it.
Yeah. More than one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that doesn't mean that when we need shelter, we're not going to get it, or when we need a hospital, we're not going to call 911. We're going to do everything that we can to live within society today, within trying to get closer to the way.
All right.
Because we have the
I like it.
because we have the common sense of the judicial system that's put in place now.
You kind of warm up to me now.
We're just speaking. how
Speaking
it is.
truth.
Okay. All right. Let me see what else I'm going to do to kind of aggravate folks here this morning. All right. I guess in trying to figure out what this status conference is going to lead to, I want to make sure that everyone's kind of clear on what their respective responsibilities are before I come to a final decision about this. So you got a list. You're going to go over it. You can do it today with her. Just hey, run through some stuff. I'm like you over here. You, for the record, Stephanie, I'm pointing to the Department of Human Resources. Whether they like it or not, they do have the responsibility to take care of this child and make sure everything's good with it. And I'm not asking them to agree with your religion or your philosophies of life or anything like that, but they have to do the essence of what a child needs for security, protection, provision, all that kind of stuff, which you say you provide. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of you for that. But the bad news is, if you don't convince the folks who now have legal custody, they're not inclined to turn it loose.
That's why we filed some
Yeah, yeah.
custody motions and trying to explain the malintent.
Right, I got you, yeah. Well, not answering questions does not help.
We're doing as best as we can.
No, I beg to differ.
Okay.
I would beg to differ. When a man who has the capacity to make a decision because of the department that they represent has the ability to say, hey, we will concede certain things, and he's trying to ask you where you live, and he gets no answer.
Right,
I'm not helping you call.
because they came with us at false accusations on the petition.
I wouldn't have cared.
I do.
If I were you, I wouldn't have cared. You know why? Because I'd be more interested in getting my son back.
I'm more interested in that we're dealing with people that are acting out of color of law
Yeah.
within the judicial
But
system.
It tells me, Mr. Holm, that your wife has a little bit better insight into how to get your son back than you do. Maybe y'all should have a family gathering and have a little prayer time together and decide what philosophical positions y'all are going to take to get this child back. You want to tilt windmills with your faith and constitution and religion? Go ahead. I'm more concerned about roofs over people's heads, food, clothing, shelter, and medicine that's going to make sure they have a healthy, happy, normal life. You can philosophize with them all you want once you get them back. But you're not going to get them back until you do the basic stuff.
I completely.
And you can educate them all day long about your philosophies and religions and
Oh, I don't have any philosophies. I completely agree with you. All I'm stating is that the reason why we're here today is on lies.
Is what?
Is because of lies on the petition.
All right. Well, I will just say to you unapologetically that I would respectfully disagree with your thoughts about that and leave it at that. That'll make you feel a little bit better. Not that you doubt that. And when I say that, I'm pointing over there at the Department of Human Resources. Now, the Guardian is going to be helpful. The department will continue to be helpful. The ultimate goal is to reunify you with your son. Trust me, I want no more than that. And no quicker than I get it. But I can't do it without. I'm pointing to you, Mom. So I'm not sure about that. You need to do whatever you can, as you've already done, and make sure that all the decision makers, like it or not, are able to weigh in on the progress that you've made toward having your child back. I hate that you had it taken from your side. I don't think it's the fault of the department.
It was actually taken from my breast while breastfeeding.
Yeah, there was a difference of opinion about that. You know, whether it was latched or not latched. You know.
He's actually testified that he was.
Right. She said it was latched. They said it wasn't.
The hospital security guard even
He said that.
Yeah. Well, he never testified.
Yes, he did. You don't have that?
The hospital guard testified?
2 hospital security guards
Yeah.
testified at the dependency. Chuck Hayworth.
We would like to ask if we can have transcripts so we can verify that you've heard the entire
Why
case.
don't you do this, Mr. Holmes? Why don't you get out and make provision for your son before you start making any demands on this trial here, okay? Why don't you get out and do your job to get your son back, and I'll be a lot more patient with you. I'm not that patient with you because you know what? Your mind's not right about this case. And when it gets right, I'll help your wife get y'all's child back, and she can temper your thoughts about this whole matter. I'm not going to do anything to help you that much right now. I'm more interested in her, because she seems to have a little bit level head about this. Don't get on my bad side. I'm your best friend.
I'm only being objective. That's
no, you're
all.
Not. You're being delusional, which is what they're concerned about over here.
He does
You
not
need to
have
understand what that means.
I don't have delusions.
I want you to defend him. You should, and you should love him.
Yes, he does not have delusions and paranoia and schizophrenia like you're saying.
I'm not sure, but he's delusional about what's going on in this case. Because the real reality is, you're doing things to provide for your son.
And we are.
Mm.
And you haven't told anybody about it.
We had that at the shelter case hearing. We had the lease agreement. We had all the necessities, and our child was not returned.
And it was testified by somebody that donated things.
Too many unanswered questions in that shelter care hearing.
I guess lack of evidence and facts, too.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't know what to do either at that point. But the dependency case, that was a real showdown. That would have been where you need to step up. Say, hey, Allison, here we are. Here's what we got. And you know what? You probably been back by now.
I think we had plenty of testimony that said there was no child endangerment or emergency.
So you get to
the burden of proof.
Okay. Get your list.
I have 2 things really quickly
All right.
while we're on here.
Got it.
already.
And
Now listen to me. I can wrap this up pretty quick. If you don't like the way I've handled this here today, file something, file a lawsuit, whatever. I can recuse also. This can drag on for another few months. You can come back and espouse your philosophy about the Constitution and your religion.
No.
In the meantime, I would suggest you get on board with what
But
we're
Matt,
even have done.
can we have something where we can subpoena our phone records, because we're having a
Ma'am, you just dissed the lawyer that could get all that done for you.
he wants to hear our phone call.
What we're trying to say is that the records.
Now, listen, I'll accept your word for it.
And I have
But
pictures.
that's fine. That's fine. Mark that and give it to Allison. She'll make sure it's proper.
We did,
She's not
actually.
your lawyer, but on behalf of the baby child, I will allow her to look at it, let them peruse it. I'll accept it for what it's worth.
Mhm.
I was very concerned. I'm glad that somebody made a call to 911. It shows me that somebody
He
reached
did.
out. Somebody reached out when push came to shove, literally. It was a bad choice of words when you're about to deliver a child, I guess. When push came to shove, somebody made the call.
Okay.
She could have died. I have a hard time with that, Mr. Holm. You could have lost her and baby boy Holm.
Okay. Well, I recognize that we have differences of beliefs. All I ask is that equality of law is upheld.
No problem. All right. What else we need?
I do have, you asked for a written recommendation.
Yes.
I had that today, and I was.
Have you given it
I was
copies to
gonna-
anybody?
I can just disperse that to everybody while we're
You
here.
want to read it?
It's up to you.
Read it.
Okay.
Make it a part of the record.
The undersigned has been appointed as guardian ad litem for the minor child since the shelter care hearing. The undersigned currently has concerns for the safety and well-being of the minor child, primarily relating to housing and mental health of the parents. One of the initial allegations from the Department of Human Resources was the parents' lack of adequate shelter for a newborn infant. At this time, no independent assessment of the parents' appropriate or inappropriate shelter can be made. The parents report that they have appropriate housing, and as of February 2nd, 2017, showed pictures to the undersigned of their home. The parents have not provided an address or allowed the undersigned to visit their home. The undersigned has offered to visit the parents' home for an independent investigation without revealing the address of the parents to the department. The department also alleges mental health concerns on the part of the father and makes allegations as to whether the mother can properly recognize mental health issues of the father to protect the minor child. The father's testimony at the shelter care hearing revealed that he receives a Social Security disability check for his self-reported depression and ADHD. The father also admitted that he was prescribed medications by a physician for these diagnoses, but removed himself from these medications without a physician's order. Mental health records reveal different diagnoses than what the father reported through his testimony at the initial hearing.
I thought he was a truth seeker. Well, wait a minute. You mean the records are different than what his testimony was?
Yes, and I
Well, wait.
further explain a little bit of that because the father has told me things that
Maybe jive with it?
that
No,
present
no.
his side of the story.
I
to
can
that.
even give his side.
Yes,
But he wants everything to be equal and everybody to be truthful. But
correct.
his testimony is different than what's happening in the medical record?
I did not lie. Yeah. No, it's just all the evidence isn't there.
They don't have
So,
everything.
all right, so where do you need it to come from? Where do you need it? Where's it at?
We have it.
Where is it?
Where is what? Right? We
Yeah,
have it right here.
You got the medical record?
Yes.
Copy, make sure everybody here gets it.
Hold on one second.
Well, she said you have it all.
Yeah, but I don't feel that we need to.
I don't care about your feelings, son.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, I
You
understand.
got the records?
Yeah, but we're not going to introduce them to the court because the burden of proof is on DHR, not us.
Then you step in the woods by yourself. You like that?
Do what now?
Step in the woods by yourself. You like that?
I don't understand. I don't understand what you're saying.
Let me make it clear. Step in the woods by yourself. You and her. No child. You understand that, don't you?
I hear you, but I don't understand what you're saying.
You want your child back?
Yes.
Copy the records. Make sure everybody gets them. Clear?
I hear you.
I didn't ask you that. I said, do you understand?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I don't understand. Yes.
Copy the records. Make sure everybody gets them. Do you want your child back?
is that an order?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right? Unfortunately, I'm in the case. Like it or not, I will make the final decision. You need to do what I call accommodation. Just bear with me on these things. It's like chicken noodle soup. If the records are what they are, what difference does it make who has it? We're all going to get into them.
Okay.
And the quicker the better. So you get David Moore back. Why do you want to delay this?
Because since day one, since Stacy Jackson walked into our hospital room, we were trying to be in compliance.
Yeah.
And
They got stuck with this case, so they have to finish it appropriately.
but Stacy Jackson didn't finish her assessment that night when she came in. She spent 15 minutes. I asked her what is the most naturalist way we can live without being harassed by the state, and she didn't.
You're about to get to make a list.
All right.
4 months later.
At the expense of our child.
I can't help it. I just picked up the.
We've been asking for this list for 4 months.
Well, now you're going to get it. Aren't you
Right.
glad you're here today?
No.
I didn't think you'd say yes. The rhetorical question. All right. So, the list.
Do you want me to finish this, or?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was just checking.
I just
And then I'll
wanted to
do
get
the
that fixed in my mind.
Yeah.
What happened there?
While mental health diagnoses do not prevent a parent from being able to effectively parent a child in the eyes of the undersigned, a person with a mental health diagnosis should follow the advice of his or her treating physician in order to ensure successful treatment and ability to care for a child. The father has reported that he has been seen by a different physician since the date of the records obtained by the department and received a different diagnosis. The father self-reports that at this time he is not under the care of a physician as his symptoms have improved through managing his diagnoses through exercise and natural methods. The undersigned has not reviewed or been provided with any additional medical records to confirm or deny these statements. The undersigned wants nothing less than a successful reunification of baby and parents in this case.
I might have to get you to read that part twice. Are y'all listening to this?
We're listening.
This last sentence, don't you listen to it?
The undersigned wants nothing.
You know who the undersigned is, right?
Explain.
Me.
That's her.
Okay.
I want nothing less than a successful reunification of baby and parents in this case. I would like to be able to visit the home of the parents and have the father to submit to an evaluation by a physician, counselor, mental health professional of his choosing to ensure his mental health diagnoses are being met or being appropriately managed prior to the child being returned to the parents. At this time, my recommendation would be that the child remain in the custody of the Department of Human Resources and be adjudicated dependent, with the department being ordered to continue to provide reunification efforts for the parents. Furthermore, as no recent issues have been reported to me in reference to visitation, I would recommend additional hours per week visitation for the purposes of bonding between the parents and the infant minor child.
How often y'all get to see?
2 hours a week.
It's
And our
been
visits
2.
were taken away for 5 weeks.
Yeah, I saw that. That's that.
Isn't it
That sort of worked both ways. That's one of those kind of times when
Every
I would
week.
have just stuck up my pride and no one ever had to do to see him. Really, that's what I've done. But I mean,
Wait,
me
I'm
and your
sorry.
husband are different.
Say that again?
I would have just stuck up a little pride and no one ever took to see my son.
They didn't allow us to
Yeah.
see him.
Well, they did, and that's a travesty. But either way, we're gonna fix that. So
Mhm.
two hours a week is really not enough under these circumstances. If I'm gonna move toward reunification, that's up to Annie on that. How much manpower y'all got over
I
there?
don't have any pride.
Your Honor, I
Remember,
think
did
what
it
was,
in time and energy.
you know, I'm not the attorney on this case, but what I was just informed is that they had more visitation at one time, but there were some issues at the department.
Right.
They had to actually hire security, so they had 12 hours at one time.
Okay.
There was what's
That's
been
pretty
explained
good.
to me,
That's
but
much better.
I
That's about
haven't been in it.
That's about 12 times higher than the other people you could get.
There were some threatening behaviors towards the workers, but they felt unsafe and they had to actually hire security.
Oh, I remember hearing about that. Yeah, I listened to that testimony. Now, did that 34-page bloody letter get made a part of the file? Is it part of the
It's
file?
in evidence.
There wasn't a 34-page bloody letter. There was one, the manufacturers of origin, with our blood drop showing our DNA because of false
Miss Holm.
accusations. It was one page.
Do you think I'm serious about that? I know it wasn't a bloody letter. You signed off on it with a bloody thumbprint. I got it.
It was just one page. It wasn't 34 pages.
I'm not fussing at him, it's okay, it's just fine. I don't think it's a bloody letter, I'm just saying he's gonna let it out, he's signed with a thumbprint.
Because of false accusations of them not knowing who we
For
are.
whatever reason, yeah. I think you should take the time to, build a cabin in the woods, writing all that stuff out.
We're actually.
I think their child should have been kidnapped under false accusations.
Yeah, but, that brings us to this place here today.
Yes.
We're gonna make progress and make it quick, if you want to.
Of course we do. That's why we're here today.
Okay. I like a lot of what you said.
That's why we're taking the time to file things. That's why we're taking the time to do the motions. That's why we're
Every
taking
time you
all.
file something, the court sets things down for hearings, and they usually set a few weeks out. So note that whenever you file, I'm not trying to say don't file whatever you want, and I'll hear whatever you want. But y'all, this is not the only case I got, so y'all will have to get in line with everybody else. So if you want to get to your case, you might want to slow down in your motion
Well,
filing,
we've just
speed up on
been
your.
objecting to their motions too, so.
I read theirs, at least some of them, but I don't have any more motions in front of me at this point, do I? I just have to make a decision about how to get this little boy back. With enough safety and security. Oh, by the way, you should know, you just got to get him back and take off. You understand that, don't you?
We don't have a freedom to migrate.
No.
No.
That would be a no.
So we're bound to Alabama now.
For a little while. You'll get used to it. If you like it, you're going to give birth up here. It's not a bad place to live.
I actually
Get
feel.
get your feet on the ground. Get some.
We don't like it here.
Yeah, well, my mom didn't like it here, but she ended up staying here 50 years.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I got it. All right, now look, having heard her recommendation, you still want to make a list?
we need something that is official on paper stating what is necessary to have for us as far as whatever they need for us, where we're going to live at, what their standards are.
Okay, no problem.
Because this is why, we don't want somebody coming out to our house and then twisting something and saying, well, your dishes are a little dirty.
You got a phone? You got picture, video capacity?
Are you asking me?
No.
Oh.
Yes,
I just need a quick rundown when you get out there. So when we come back here, I can look at the phone, everybody can look over your shoulder. You don't have to make production of it, just video what they got. So I don't have to drive out there. We'll load it up. I can go out there today, I guess y'all got lunch ready.
Do we have lunch ready? You're welcome to come to lunch anytime you want to.
You promise?
Yes.
Y'all don't mind if I show up out there? Okay.
For lunch on days of where it's not in proceedings to this.
Okay, we'll just use the bull about other stuff.
All right.
Okay. All right. Y'all don't mind if I do that? Okay. I probably enjoy it. I need to get away from this here now and then. All right, so what else we need on add to this? You're gonna go back and tell the other two fellows to just ready today?
No, he just trapped me in that. Your Honor, we would like to acknowledge that it's our rights to not have our address to be shown unless you're ordering it for it to be shown, or unless you're ordering for you to come out.
Here's why. You see, if I have a son
Mm-hmm.
that I can take care of initially, I'm not saying it's you, but I'm just saying, I want to leave them with you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like, I was going to say 90%, maybe 80% of what I'm hearing from y'all today. I like it. I like that. It's good. Healthy minded, natural. I love it. But there are a few things, a couple things, that I would have concerns about. And I'd have those things, before I drop my son off with you, I'd have to have those things kind of satisfied in my mind.
Can you say
You
it
could do it quicker if I got to know you better.
Right, but you have a right to parent for your child, as we have a right to parent.
Do I?
You have a right to parent to choose where your child stays, where I do as well. We do.
Absolutely. So that's exactly right. So before I sent my son to live with you, you know what I do? I have to drive out there and see where you live.
Sure, but this is our child
No.
that we're speaking about.
Yeah, well, it is, but right now, this child, unfortunately, is caught up in this legal paperwork.
Under false accusations.
Yeah. Whatever reason it is.
Yes.
Whatever the reasons are, he's in the file, unfortunately and tragically. For y'all and for them. Let me ask you this. Do you think they don't have enough to do other than to have to manage this one file, the time and energy and hours they spend on this? There are 100 children out there who have varying degrees of needs.
And there are
We
many
agree
more
with
that
that.
aren't even in foster care, and they're not focusing on them,
Yeah.
on those kids.
They're doing what they have to do with the ones that are in front of them.
There's
And this
people
was in
on
front of them.
drugs that have kids.
Yeah,
There's murderers
and
that
we're
have
not
kids.
drug addicts, we're not alcoholics, we don't have bankruptcies, we have none of those things, and those people do have their children, but we don't have our child.
I'm not,
So I'll-
you know
so-
what, Mr. Holm?
Yes,
I agree with you, but you know what? Those people and those children aren't in front of me.
right,
I'm dealing with who's in front of me.
right,
You know? I care about all those people, but I don't care because I can't make decisions about all those people today.
Mhm.
Today, I'm talking to baby boy Holm with his advocate, legal advocate, and his mom and dad who need him back home.
Mhm.
yes,
And
No
he needs
question
us.
about that. He sure does.
Mhm.
You've missed out on some valuable bonding time.
very valuable.
Hey, you preach to the choir. Mine fell asleep with me every day.
Mhm.
Tell them stories every night. Every night of their lives.
Mhm.
Until the youngest one finally said, Dad, you gotta go do the storytelling again? I said, well, good, I was sleeping. You go to bed anyway.
Yes, we
Every night.
won't have that. That's been taken from us.
Well, at least 3 or 4 months of which you can make it up.
I hope so.
At this young stage, he'll quickly catch on. You know, who his mom and dad are.
We hope so.
It won't be a bit of a problem. So, now, let's talk about a couple more practical matters. I like what your responses were in the shelter care. You know, do whatever it takes, housing, cycle vows. You know, I got all of what I call warm-up responses, good responses, what I thought appropriate responses at the shelter care.
Mm.
At the dependency case, not so much.
Right,
So I got to figure out who you are,
yes.
right?
There's a reason for that.
There's reasons for that.
There's a reason that we.
Yeah.
We wanted to be in compliance with everything. We actually are the ones that call the social worker into the hospital
For whatever
to make
reason-
sure.
For whatever reason, you bombed on the shelter care.
Because we're,
I mean, you bombed on the dependency.
we're afraid of
Yeah.
everything being used against us and twisted like it has been and lied about.
We've had a lot of malintents. Yeah.
That ain't right. Trust me.
Well, it has happened.
It has been happening.
You're gonna dwell on that, you're gonna dwell on moving forward.
Well, it's all part
It's
of
a
the
part
big
of it.
picture.
It needs to be acknowledged.
That's history.
Yeah, but we're here because of history.
And it's still happening. The malintent is still happening to us.
Okay. Okay. Y'all wanna dwell on that?
We don't want to dwell on anything. We're here today, not at our will. We're here because we love our child, and our child has been kidnapped from us.
Stephanie, I'm being patient. I haven't been too bad. The question I have is, I've got to figure out exactly how you want to approach this, Mr. Holmes. You can approach it like you did at the shelter care, or you can approach it like you can at the dependency care.
Mhm.
Two different approaches. I like the shelter care approach. Hint, hint.
Mhm.
You with me? You know, willing to do whatever I need to do. I need to, let me ask you this. You apparently have some connection with a mental health provider who does your medicines. In order for you to keep compliant to get your social security check, you have to have that connection, don't you?
I don't know anything about that.
All right. Do you have a prescription pill that you were given for your anxiety and depression?
It's ADD and depression.
Yeah.
ADT?
Yeah.
What did I say?
Anxiety.
Oh, I thought he said anxiety. Didn't you at least mention the word anxiety one time?
Maybe.
I could have. Sometimes anxiety comes in, yeah, but I mean, yeah.
ADHD, depression.
Yeah.
By the way, you know, every time I walk through those doors out there, coming into this courthouse, I have a little touch of anxiety.
Mhm.
Who doesn't?
I manage it.
No.
Mhm.
But anyway, anxiety, ADHD, depression. You get pills for it. Or did get pills for it.
I've been prescribed that, yes.
Right, okay. Quit taking them a few months back.
That's
To
correct.
try and come off, so because it was giving him sensations of things that weren't
I'm with you on that. Let's everybody get their mind right.
right.
I'm with you.
So exercise and diet helps a lot.
Yeah, I like it.
Mhm.
I'm with you on that.
Mhm.
I'm 40 pounds large, but I'm gonna get there. So somebody's name had to appear on that pill bottle.
Mhm.
A doctor. Who was it?
I don't recall right now. I'll have to, yeah.
That's fine. Do you happen to have any leftover capsule bottles back at the house or trailer or whatever, camper? Do you have any leftover prescription bottles you can look on?
I think we do.
Put that on your list, Miss Allison. And the reason I'm asking, I'm not trying to be nosy. I didn't know, do we need to just move forward from that person? And he might say, hey, you know what, Christian, I've seen him for a long time. He came in with some ADHD and some depression. I think the medicine's kind of leveled him out a little bit. Or he might have kind of grown out of the need for him,
Healed.
Yeah. Developed past what he needed, in those stages. I don't know if they were a lifelong issue for you. I knew apparently there was some testimony about a prescription pill addiction at one point, some pain medicine addiction or something.
No, I never mentioned any of that. I never had. I don't know what you're talking about with that.
No memory of that.
No.
No reference to it. No pain medicine addiction. Never had that.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we can either find it. Is that true? You ever recall any testimony about that?
There was some testimony around.
From him? He admitted to it or not?
I don't specifically remember.
You don't remember?
I don't think that he did admit to it, I don't recall.
Okay, it's a long time ago, so be that as it may. The reason I'm asking these questions is so we can find out, do we need to sort of back up and go back to source one, find out what that particular mental health professional says at this point. He might do you a good. He might say, hey, you know what, I haven't seen him in a few 4 months.
I think that we would like to assess the petition and why we're here and why we've been brought into court and the shelter case before we go any further. We understand that the burden of proof is on the petition.
Yeah, I got something for you.
Yeah.
The petition doesn't go forward without certain information. That's a need to know bit of information for the court.
Right.
I need to know what your status is before I go forward with it.
My status as far as what?
Your mental health.
I'm speaking to you today just fine.
I'm not a mental health professional.
Okay. All right. Well.
I mean, I think I have one of my master's degrees is in that background, but I don't claim to be a mental health professional who's had hands-on communication with you for several years or months or how long you might have been in treatment and care. I'm just seeing you now for about 2 hours.
Yes.
I mean, hey, I have no idea what y'all are really about.
You're spending more time with us than the first original person that
There
took
you
our
go.
child away. She spent 15 minutes and made a mental health impression on him, and she's not.
Okay. Well, the reason I'm asking, I need to know, and they want to know, they might be glad to know, whoever has given you this stuff, that they say, you know what, I think it was a temporary thing for him. He had some issues in his personal life. I gave them to him to kind of calm, ADHD to kind of get him focused and to get him out of his funk, his depression. And now he seems to be rolling.
It wasn't one person you saw, though.
So I think what we want to focus on is that we want to focus on the evidence of facts of why we're here today as far as the accusations.
I've heard the case. I've listened to it for the last 5 days.
Yes.
I was making sure I finished it. Instead of about 11:30 last night on my last tape.
We appreciate that.
Testimony about dependency.
Yeah.
Now, eventually, you all know where I'm going with the order, and it's going to be a no-brainer at this stage. But now we go forward. Disposition. It's called shelter care, dependency, disposition. Do you know what that means?
Can you explain?
A shelter care is kind of an immediate, like, oh my gosh, we got a major problem.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a hearing on that.
Mm.
And then you sort of make a little bit of progress in trying to make decisions about what's best for a child at that point. Not all perfect decisions are being made at that point, but decisions are being made just on kind of what preliminary information can be gathered. Then you have a major hearing called a dependency case.
Mm-hmm.
And that is to determine whether or not this child is really dependent. You don't think it is. I get that. They think it is. And after listening to the testimony, I'm not going to say what I'm going to order, but I'm very concerned at this level. But I haven't made a decision about it. whether the child would be dependent. It could be dependent under the law, and I can still place that child back in your home like that. But I'm gonna be satisfied about a few things that I'm concerned about. Your treatment is one of them. It's been a major issue. Why you want to resist that, I don't know. If you need help, hey, admit it. I need a little.
I don't need any help. All I'm asking is that our rights be upheld and that the burden of proof is on them.
I'm absolutely is.
Okay, that's all we're asking.
But I'm gonna require it because I think it's what's best for the child. I'm not gonna turn the child back to have a repeated nightmare.
So but do you have evidence or facts that it was a nightmare?
A child in a womb on the top of a hill in mid-October with a couple onesies and some other things, heck yeah.
That was false. That was false.
You were there. They had to go
I didn't have a couple of onesies. I had a large backpack full of baby stuff in our car in Montgomery in storage with the car seat and everything else in there.
Yeah, in and of itself, that's a disaster waiting to happen.
What did
Wake up and smell the coffee.
What did they do 100 years ago?
We're not living 100 years ago. We're living in 2017 now.
God hasn't changed.
So God was wrong back then.
Gosh, y'all not helping your case. All right. I'm doing my best to try to move forward, but I just keep getting roadblocks. Empathize with you a little bit. It will be ordered, since I gave you an opportunity to kind of let us know the easy way to do it. If you don't want to do it the easy way, you'll be ordered to do a mental health evaluation. Who's the mental health evaluator?
Before we were using Lucille Bodenheimer, they expressed that they did not want to use her, Your Honor.
Well, you know, when a train runs around the track, it usually has one engineer, right? Let me illustrate something. This is a train. This is a train. With me? It's going down the track. Who do you think's going to be the engineer?
I guess it could be anybody.
No.
It could be somebody who's qualified for the train.
Right. Well, who's running this file right here?
I would have to have more evidence and facts of what that file is.
Are you holding it?
No, I'm not.
Is Ms. Miller holding it?
Your Honor, I don't understand what this has to do with our child being kidnapped.
It has to do with everything, Mr. Holm.
Yes.
It has to do with the person who's going to make the final decision in this case.
I know, but
That's the one you want to.
I feel like we're getting a lot of hypothetical questions here and not facts.
No, Mr. Holm, we're trying to find a way to get your son back. That ain't hypothesis, that's reality. The engineer who's holding this file would be me. We go down that track.
Right.
You know, I like the fact that you wish and you want certain things. It won't happen. You will do what the court tells you you're going to do in order to get your son back. The better you can explain that to your husband, ma'am.
The court hasn't asked us to do anything at this
He
point.
will submit to a mental health evaluation, not necessarily Ms. Bodenheimer. Even if I could just rub it in your nose and say, hey, I don't care if you like her or not, go back to her. That's fine. I'll get somebody else. Who's the next one up?
Dr. Dan Lowry.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I gave you a chance to tell me who it was. You didn't weigh in on it, so now you're going to.
Well, I was going to see if you were just going to protect rights. That's all I was going to do.
Well, who do you like? Give me a couple, 2, 3 mental professionals. Who do you like?
Who do I like? We'd have to find somebody that we like, that we feel is not going to be biased.
We're not from
That's
So,
fine. Hey,
now-
how many days do you need to find one?
It depends on the person, how far out they are. I don't know.
They've got a whole book full of them around this area.
So, can you tell us why you're wanting an evaluation? Why?
Because I want to know what's inside your mind so that I can determine whether or not you're able to make rational decisions about your son.
And that's based off of what evidence did you have to where
The
you...
evidence that you have housed yourself before he was born up in the woods at his peril, you know, whether you think he was in peril or not, at his peril.
He wasn't even born yet.
We were at a Chiapas State Park where they go camping and they have all the amenities that are necessary.
No, they don't, Mr. Holm.
Well, that would say that the state park is not correct for allow camping.
No babies and children should be allowed to camp there then.
Oh my God.
How is that not true?
Oh, I don't know. I'm mostly concerned about, I'm not concerned about babies and children camping in state park. I'm concerned about whether you get your son back.
Right, and all we're asking is just the evidence of facts of what you're basing mental evaluation off of.
Well, the records say that you had taken yourself off your medicines. You apparently followed the doctor's order to take the medicine, didn't you?
I went in there myself to see the doctor,
He asked
and
for
we're allowed to make the decision. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I chose to go see the doctor myself.
Good for you.
So we're allowed, we're
You
allowed,
followed his orders.
right, and we're allowed to choose if we want to continue the medication or
So who
not.
is he?
I told you I would try and find out with that, yes.
You go back and locate him, wherever he is, if that's who you like.
Please.
You went to him to start with to get medicine, right? So
Okay.
is he in New Hampshire?
All right,
In
but-
Arizona?
But is that what you're basing off of ordering an evaluation of because of
Yeah.
of that?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And if,
I
and if,
need
and,
I need to have some closure on that issue.
okay, and if we can show some type of certified records of my last visit, that would be good enough for you?
If it said, you know what, I think Mr. Holm has accomplished a lot in his last several months of treatment, so that I'm going to remove him from his medicine, I'll let him continue on his merry way, no problem.
Now, hold on now. If it shows my diagnosis and it states her opinion, it's a her.
It's a lady?
Yes, it is a lady. And it doesn't say whether I need to continue or not continue. And if it's okay for someone to take them off of medication if they so choose, then are you saying that the last certified records will be okay for you? That my last diagnosis, my last certified records.
From what he's saying, I guess what I'm getting, he's trying to ask you his last certified record where he went to a mental health professional.
Could be
If that
2 years
was
ago.
4 to 6 years ago,
Yeah.
the department
No,
will say,
this was
we
actually-
would object to that.
Right.
No, this was actually recent.
We need a current mental health site evaluation.
All right. Look, the decisions that brought you to the top of the mountain are important to me. You know, what got you there, it's important to me, and the decisions you made that allowed you to store your car in Montgomery and walk apparently from Montgomery to Chiyama. How long that day?
2 months.
And you walk about 5 miles a day?
Hard to say. I'm not
So
sure.
who told you the 10-person tent?
He carried everything.
No, the 10-person tent was left in a vehicle in Montgomery.
How'd you get the tent up at the campsite?
We had a
We
different
had a
tent
different tent at that time.
Yeah, what?
We had a different tent at that point. We had multiple tents.
Where'd you get the Mount Cheeto tent?
We got
We
that
had it.
from,
We
yeah,
had
which is
all
just
of
a
it.
small,
Where'd you get it?
from Walmart.
At Walmart?
Yes.
So did you walk to Walmart and walk back up the mountain with it?
We took,
No, I just already had it. I was already carrying it with me.
and sometimes we would get rides. Sometimes we would stay at a
So
hotel.
who dropped you off the top of Cheeto?
Some woman that we met along the way. We met a lot of people along the way, which is why we did it. We wanted to help people, go to homeless shelters, serve people.
We were
meet people
missionaries.
along the way.
Yeah. Well, you're a missionary without an oversight board, you're a missionary without a theology, and you're a
We're
missionary.
missionary with
We're
God.
just missionaries just to love people. That's all. We don't claim to have a title to love.
Yeah, I'm a lover too. But unfortunately, I gotta make a legal decision.
That's all we're asking is for equality of law.
So, give me the name, I'll just end this real quick, give me somebody, I don't know if I'm Mr. Lowry, give me somebody I think I might know.
Who's approved through the department? We've got Dr. Dan Lowry, we've got Dr. Wilson.
How about Dr. Wilson up in Gadsden?
Yes, sir.
That's pretty common sense, isn't it?
What?
You know where Etowah County is, or, y'all driving, y'all got a car?
Did you say that last record would be good enough or not? The certified record?
I want it, yes, but I want you to meet with Dr. Wilson. I think he's a pretty straight shooter. You don't wanna,
We would like to find our own doctor so that way we can have an unbiased opinion.
okay, I'll tell you what, you go find your own doctor, but you will also see Dr. Wilson. And if they have competing, opinions, then we'll be at a dilemma, won't we? Now, I got a question for you. How long do you think it's gonna take you to round up that doctor?
I hope not long.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be a prerequisite.
It's not
Along
hard
with her
to-
list of groceries and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Along with her list of groceries and other things that you're gonna actually see what you're gonna have done. I'm gonna have an evaluation done. So, hey, have at it. Better hurry.
It just depends on how long they say until they'll see us. All right, that's all we can do.
Do you want one? The time's gonna burn until you get one, so that's on you.
Well, we don't necessarily want one. We're being told that we have to have one.
No. I'm being told that you can go see Dr. Wilson.
Right.
You decided to want your own independent one. So
We just don't want to.
Dr. Wilson done for sure. How quick could that take place?
Your Honor, we can typically get them there with a matter of a few weeks.
Okay. Ooh. This has been going on for months now, because he refused to go, I guess, right? Darn.
It wasn't ordered to go.
Yeah. I thought there was wasn't there an ISP meeting where the mental health eval was noted?
Yes, sir, there was an ISP meeting, there was not a court order.
Oh, goodness.
They refused us our responsive offer.
Right.
We will obey the court.
Okay, all right. Look, if you can't find your own, as quick as you can, we're going to get that one done. So at least that one. You get that behind me. I don't expect to have a major problem with it, except for that he's going to say, man, he's got some poor judgment, which I already know. You know, whether you like it or not, you know.
He doesn't have poor judgment.
I know.
He takes very good care of me,
Yeah.
and it would be an amazing.
He just about killed you, man. Don't say
He
that.
called 911 at the very time we needed to call
Look,
911, and then I was
look.
still
Your
alive.
Honor, I just about killed her.
Yeah,
I don't understand your theory behind that.
You can't figure out that if a child gets lost in her birth canal, that she could ultimately hemorrhage and die. You can't understand that.
Your Honor, that was both of our decision as one because of our religious
If
beliefs.
you're the head of the household, she's like, here's your wife.
God is the
God is the head of the
Yeah,
household.
right. Keep believing that.
We do.
I hope you do. But you're going to comply until you get your child back.
We're going to obey the law.
Right.
Give to
And
Caesar's
you know
what is
the lawyer,
Caesar's.
The engineer.
Right.
That's what you got to do.
Right. And we're trying to obey the law as best as we can here, but we seem to be steamrolling our people.
You know, come on.
We'll ask them to do just as soon as they can. I know there's
Just tell Dr. Wilson, say, look, I got a really peculiar set of parents, you know.
This is crazy, man. What's going on?
I wouldn't have foreseen this coming.
Okay. Yeah, I'll see. Yeah, Ms. Holm, she's a little codependent, you know, so would be an understatement.
I thought you were not a mental health professional.
You sure are making a lot of accusations for a judge as far as the expertise of mental health and things like that.
I'm glad you noticed that. I
Yeah.
don't think you expect that. I think you do when I do that.
All we've been asking is for equality of law here.
Tell you what, file your lawsuit, get me off the case, and you can waste another 2 or 3 months.
Why can't you just be equal of law and act
I
as
feel like we're being
mixed, you know?
discriminated
Yeah.
against.
Ma'am, you know what, I don't really care about your feelings.
I can tell.
I'm here to do what's best for your son. And at this point, you're not helping your case because your judgment is vastly impaired, whether you're religious or devoted or whatever. Your
Based on
judgment-
Because we were camping at Chios State Park.
You know what, it is my opinion, because I am the judge, and I'm entitled to.
But you are not a mental health professional to make these
Absolutely.
opinions a truth or a fact.
Did I make an opinion?
An opinion.
You made, yes, you
What
have.
did I say?
You said that my wife was codependent. Was
Yeah.
that a minute ago? So,
Yeah.
all right,
That's not a mental health evaluation.
all right. Can you explain of that?
Yeah, I can explain, it's just observation, it's not evaluation.
Observations are opinions.
Yeah. Okay, I got an opinion that she's codependent on you.
All right. Well, we are husband and wife.
What do you want to do about it, Mr. Holm?
We are husband and wife.
Right, good for you.
We work together
Good
all
for
the
you,
time.
good for you, good. You should. Parents should stick together, live
Mhm.
together.
Raise
you
children
know what I'm saying?
together.
Raise children together, I'm all with you. Absolutely.
All right.
So what? So what's the point?
I don't understand what I don't understand what you're asking me right now.
You made an observation about me, so what's your point?
I haven't made any observation. I was just calling out what you said.
Okay, so, so what good did it do you?
Nothing. I'm just trying to be objective here because we're here trying to get our child,
Yeah, I want you to have it.
and we're speaking of truth, and we feel like we're getting more of an abrasive process here.
Okay,
We're going up a hill with rocks coming down at us
yeah. All right.
with the engineer.
Dr. Wilson, as soon as possible, a list of groceries, the 911 tape, one final motion, Mr. Kirby, I guess you won't have to come back, file your thing, file your feedback, and I'll let you out. Probably get you dismissal. What else?
Yeah, the one thing I would like to address with the court, I think it has been brought up, of course, when they were out in Cleveland, is the confidentiality.
Look, there's been some like overlap between a confidentiality order and a gag order. There's a lot of talk about that.
And I don't know exactly what it is. All I know is if anything is being taped, if anything is going to be disseminated through any sort of, I will state for the record that I do not give my permission to be broadcast out on Facebook. Anybody else in the courtroom that would like to state that in court can also do so, but I want that on the record.
Okay, I got you. Look, I don't have to issue a gag order. There's a law in Alabama that these proceedings involving children are to be maintained confidential. Now, I will tell you this. If you, from this day forward, and when this case is all over with, you can write a book. I don't really care. But while it's pending, the law requires no one to discuss this case out in the public forum. That's just the law. I don't know that I really like that. I like the idea of, hey, go out and run your mouth. They can run theirs, you can run yours. It's called a court of public opinion. We don't operate like that down here. The law says that these hearings are to be kept confidential for the benefit of minors. That's why it's in the juvenile code statute. Now, you clear on that, right?
I hear you. I saw the law as protecting the family.
Listen to me.
Yeah.
Do you understand me?
I hear you. I hear what you're saying.
Let me predict what's going to happen here. Mr. Holm is going to continue to assert all these esoteric thoughts about things. He's going to ultimately be in non-compliance. The child may ultimately never be brought back to him. He's going to ultimately do something criminal. He's going to ultimately be held in contempt. During his incarceration, the department's ultimately going to have to file a termination. And somebody else going to be raising the floor.
You what?
How can you make predictions based on things that have not happened?
I'm 64.
Are you psychic?
Are you?
No.
Okay. All right, I'm just saying, until your attitude changes, not much good is going to befall your plight.
Am I being mean to you?
I love it.
Am I being?
Mean. You're obstinate.
I'm objective. I'm just being objective. Our child was kidnapped, and I'm just being objective.
I'm going to bend over backwards to try to help you, and then I'm going to get to a point where my patience is going to be done, and then I'm going to let you fall on your own sword. Is what's going to happen. Now you can either make it happen or ride the wave and let it happen to you. Okay? You'll get your mental health evaluation as quick as possible. I get my list. As soon as I get the mental health evaluation, if you'll just give me a call, tell Pam. You don't have to wait to file a motion. I want it done like as soon as they can do it and write it up, both of them. Okay, so both of them. So now, will they be the compelling decision maker? I don't know. They'll be important. And make sure that he has a sense of why they're being evaluated. Okay? Give him a history. You will meet with him and tell him what your history is. I think he's a likable person. Now, you can wait on his evaluation, and if you decide that you want to get somebody else to evaluate you that you like, be doing your homework so that you can round somebody else up also. Okay? And if you want me to wait to come back to court to look at those reports on theirs, as you would say, I call him somewhat neutral, but you may not think he is. You can get your own if you want to take the time and spend the money. Okay?
Are they paying for that one?
I think y'all pay for it.
We're paying for the doctor, for Dr. Wilson.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's a prerequisite. That means that's a required bit of information I need to know and feel comfortable about. Okay? Now, let's see. What else, Pam? Miss Allison, what else? Oh, visitation, let's talk about that. All right. 2 hours, you know, look, I'm gonna order the 12 hours back, okay? But I need you to help me. I need you to go in there and do your business and have fun and spend time with your child and do all the things that you're supposed to do with the child during that period of time.
We always do.
Did I say you didn't?
I'm just making it clear for the court. We always do that.
I mean, you appear defensive, but I haven't even said anything about it. I just said, hey, go have a good time. You just saying we always do. That's like kind of like confrontational.
Because we're having some apprehensive situations going on
Well,
here, Judge.
alleviate your fear.
Yeah.
Okay? I might just show up at the hearings, at the visitations. Give me an idea when they're going to take place. I need a list. Fax it up to me every time they visit. I might just pop in. See how everybody's doing. How's that? I might just load everybody up in the car and let them come to the house. I got a swing set out there still.
Can we be invited to your house
We
too?
can't tell you the visits will be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 to 2.
Perfect. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 to 2.
That's 4 hours.
That's a jump start. That's
Okay.
a jump start. Okay? That's something. It's not the final thing, but it's the start. Can you come to my house? Did you ask me?
Are we invited over to your house?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can't talk about the case.
So we can bring our friends?
Don't camp out on my yard though. So, yeah, come on by. Can't talk about the case though.
Mm-hmm.
You want to send somebody over? Y'all want to send somebody
Why
over?
not, Your Honor?
All right.
If everybody's going to come visit,
Sure.
I'm not going to be.
Allison, 24/7.
Just let me know when.
My phone's always up. Gary, you'll be off the case, but come on by. No problem. Now, if you come to my house, this is the way it works. My children would have company all their lives. Pancakes on Saturday I cook for their friends, grilled hamburgers. We play kickball, basketball. You like sports?
I play sports, yes.
What do you play?
Baseball.
What position?
I was a pitcher, shortstop, third base.
Good.
A little bit of everything.
Exactly. I pitched, I played short, I played second.
Catcher.
And look, I got some extra gloves. We can pitch all day, throw all day, play kickball, shoot basketball. But if you come, you can't leave a mess. You know, if you use a glass, you have to wash it, put it up.
Mm-hmm.
If you use a plate, you have to clean it. I mean, how much food do you like there? I'm big on chocolate chip cookies. You might have to suffer with those for a while. But come on down. I got nothing to hide. How's that for friends?
We have nothing to hide either.
Then
We
we're both
just don't like our privacy being invaded over and over and over and over.
I don't mind mine being invaded, 'cause I don't care who comes in. They're all brothers.
Well, that's okay for you. You know, we just.
Well, I thought you said about their brother. You love everybody.
They are,
Yeah,
but
we
those
do.
are people that we can't trust that come into our house and lie about us.
That's not your standards. You want your standards and they want theirs.
There's lies and there's truth.
Well, I think we have the law is supposed to be the standard.
Right. You got your standards, they got theirs. Alice got hers, Mr. Kirby's got his, I got mine.
Everybody has their own beliefs.
That's right. You don't want, you want them to respect yours, but you don't want to respect theirs.
No, I want to respect theirs, but we want to live ours.
I'm with you. All right, so 12 hours, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that's the start. Gonna get that evaluation done pretty quickly, gotta get the list made. Allison, get over there. What you doing the rest of the day?
I have court in Cleveland at 1:30.
Hey, good, that's Cleveland. Are y'all living in the Heflin area?
Close to it.
Now typically, I would say, you don't want to tell me your address? Forget about you, I'm leaving. When you get your mind right, want to tell me what your address is, come back. I'm not going to do that. You just tell her the address. You call me. Let me know what it is or text it to me. You don't mind texting me that address to you. When it's all said and done, eventually I am going to send a social worker out there. And they're going to walk around too. Because the department is also going to be satisfied, as the guardian is. Okay? shouldn't take much of it. What's a home visit, 5 minutes?
Typically 30 minutes, Your
At
Honor.
the most.
At the most.
30
Okay.
minutes.
Will we,
You can video them.
will we be getting these orders on paper?
You gonna write them up? You wanna write the order up?
Which
We would need the orders for everything that needs to be taking place today.
Here of these things, who wants to write the order?
Well, we asked the court to write the orders.
I'll have an order.
All right.
If you'll draft it, I'll get it.
Well,
These things I just mentioned, we're gonna take it off this transcript that she is typing up right here. It's gonna come off with these things out of order. Okay? It'll be on the order, you'll get it, you know exactly what you have to do. Won't be confused. I'm not asking you to adopt me, please, I'm just asking you to do what I say. And you get ready to go home back pretty quick. But, and you'll get them migrated when this case is done. This could take a little bit. Okay? So, be patient. It's one of the virtues, isn't it?
we're trying to be as patient as we can. And we.
Love conquers all. So if you're loving, you'll conquer everything.
Tough love.
That's my job.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. All right, let's see. Here's my legal pad. A whole legal pad. A whole legal pad. All the testimony that was on the record. I really can't recall. I may not have thought much about the police officer's testimony on the day that the child was actually removed. I must have thought much about it or didn't think. I can't remember. Can't remember who all was there. It was a bunch. I don't know. And I couldn't get up that lady's name was Martin or Horton. Martin. Alice Martin. Yeah, I thought that was probably judge.
Well,
But anyway, so
can we ask? Will we be getting the testimony so that way we can understand and see? Do we want to pay for it? If we had enough money, we would.
Yeah. Well, you work?
Am I working?
Do you work? You can't work. Don't you draw disability check?
That's my private information.
Mr. Holm,
Yeah.
listen. Let me go over something again with you.
Mm-hmm.
Your life is an open book as far as I'm concerned. You can keep it private for the rest of the world. That's why these doors are locked out there. The rest of the world doesn't need to know about your private life. But I am given the stewardship responsibility of your son at this point. So I will turn your world inside out to make sure your son's going to be properly provided for when he gets to where he's at, along with your wife. So,
Are you saying that you're not going to go on the evidence or facts to base these accusations?
you know what the law is in Alabama about that?
What's that?
The judge is the finder of fact. It's going to be important for me to make findings of fact consistent with what I believe the evidence was in this case.
Right, but
Doesn't mean it's going to be what you say they are, or what they say they are.
right, but do we have rights as parents that the burden of proof is on them, not for you to make the accusations?
I haven't made any accusations.
But you are like imposing certain things to happen rather than the DHR.
Right, because I'm imposing the same requirements on them that I am on you.
So the burden of proof is with you too as well.
They tried to establish a burden of proof with those. How many days was that? You know how many days it was?
It was 3 days, Judge.
3 days? They spent 3 days asking questions, some of which you had answered during that shelter care. I mean, during that dependency case would probably help you a little bit, but you refused to answer. So, for whatever reason.
Because we felt like that we were in a process where people were lying and not being equal.
That's your story, and you should stick to it if you think that'll help you.
Well, it's the truth.
If you listen to the transcripts, if they're all still really there, of the shelter case hearing and then the dependency hearing, people have clearly lied back and forth. Somebody said that they took my baby off of me when she didn't, and somebody else did, and then they flipped it.
I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm sorry.
And then we have there's a.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Who knows how to copy these? Who does this? Who can make a good tell you what I'll do. Here's the CD. This CD supposedly it was given to me as a part of the legal file that got transferred when I got this file handed to me. The CD came with it. It had all the things that went on that were on the record. Some of which I didn't really have to hear. All that paper shuffling and all that fiddling around that took place that I spent 20 minutes waiting for the next voice to come up. I could have passed on all that. It's here. I'm going to get copies of it made. Okay?
Okay.
You'll get it. And every time somebody says something that you don't like, make a note of it.
Mhm.
Okay? Not that you don't like, but you think is opposite of what happened.
Mhm.
Now, at this point, it's been said and done. And y'all indulge me just a little bit longer, please, since this case is kind of frustrating. At this point, we have conflict. Let me just make a real illustration. The baby's removed. You say it was actually latched onto your breast.
Correct.
Actually milky.
I will never, ever in my life, for the rest of my life, forget the feeling I had when my child was ripped off of my breast while he was
He was
breastfeeding.
actually sucking on your breast.
He was sucking on my breast.
Okay. Miss Rachel, I believe, said that that was not true. And who else was in there? Stacy said that was not true. So.
Chuck Hayworth said that it's possible that could have been true. He didn't.
And Rachel Israel did admit that the baby child was covered up and the baby was right here on her chest.
Okay.
And she also admitted at the shelter case hearing that she took him off of me, and then at the dependency hearing she said she didn't.
Right. Okay. Let's just talk about all that.
And she also stated there was no child endangerment and or emergency whenever she came in.
Right. Yes, it was the totality of circumstances that they felt in their mind created the danger, the emergency situation.
I think it was the nurse false accusations of being drug smugglers and human traffickers.
I got all that cleared up. That's water over the bridge.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
It's water over the bridge, but it's added up to why we're here today.
Right. So we're here.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that me deciding whether the child was still in your breast or whether it was taken off your chest while it was not attached to your breast, do you think me making a decision about that would have some impact on things moving forward?
It should show you that the people that are taking our child away from us are lying. It should show you that there are lies being made. The people that have the power to take our child, if they're lying, what else could they be lying about?
Okay.
And or maybe the aggressiveness of how it was done.
Right.
Yes.
So these people that are put in authoritative positions to be able to do such actions against families, they should also uphold things where they don't lie. That they tell the truth. If there's an emergency, speak that there's an emergency. If there's breastfeeding, speak that the child is breastfed. Why are there lies? When there's lies, that person can't be trusted, in my opinion.
Okay, so that factor discounts all the other things. I mean, if you think that happened, all the other things.
There's many things.
Well, the lies.
Hold on, let me finish.
Yeah.
All the other things are bogus too, then. Is that what you're
There's
saying?
many things that are, yes.
Well, I'm going to give you a tape. You can spend your next several days listening to it like I did.
Okay.
Make commentary on it.
Mhm.
And we ultimately may get to a dispositional hearing. I can't wait for that. Okay. Here's your CD. Let's see. Any other things that you want me to unravel? We have court dates available. What you got? what we're here for, isn't it?
When,
2 hours to get to that. Sorry, Shay.
yes, sir, I've got the calendar, so
All right.
let's,
It won't be, it'll just be a hearing on making, I mean, I've got the case in front of me. I just can't, as soon as I get the mental health evaluations done, the home visits taken care of, the visitations are gonna go according to plan. You know that you gotta go over there and have these visits done regardless of who shows up in the room, don't you? I mean, I don't wanna hear this, I don't want somebody videoing our visit, or I don't want somebody standing on our shoulder, and I'll be whining like a baby.
I didn't hear what you said at the beginning.
We're not whining like a baby. We just don't trust the
I
environment.
didn't say you were, I said I just don't wanna hear it.
Yeah.
You can whine all day, just don't whine in front of them, go home and whine.
We don't want.
You get that 4-hour visit in, bite the bullet.
We always do.
Okay.
We've been biting the bullet since these accusations have occurred.
All right, well then keep biting it.
Yeah, we're doing our best.
3 days a week, 4
Yeah.
hours a day, right? Monday,
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
and where is it?
It's at DHR.
Is it in the visitation room?
Yes, sir.
Got couches in there, all that stuff,
Yes, sir, very comfortable environment.
when you go in there for that 4 hours, go home,
Mm.
don't pick your phone up.
Don't pick my phone up.
Right.
We
Why?
take pictures
Why is
of our
that?
phone, of our family.
You got a phone?
We have one phone that we
You
share.
have one phone?
One phone that we share. We take pictures of our
You can pick
baby.
your phone up and take pictures.
This is what we do.
Don't get on it.
Okay. What?
I want your total devotion to those 4 hours to be spent on your wife and your child.
Okay, now when my child is sleeping on me and I'm sleeping in a chair, what do fathers usually do when the mother and child are sleeping together?
You sit over and have prayer time. Don't get on the phone.
Okay.
All right, clear on that? That'll eliminate the dad out hallway on the phone while the child's being cared to by mom.
Out in the hallway.
I was never in the
He
hallway.
never leaves unless
Or
he's
on the
going
phone
to the
in the room.
bathroom.
Well, in the beginning, it was looking for legal help and things like that.
Well, you don't need it.
Yeah.
You got it on your own.
Yeah.
You can take care of things from your own house. Right?
Well, yeah. I just don't understand how it would be concerning for any reasons of me.
And at the very
Well,
beginning,
I'll tell you why. Let me illustrate something. I'll tell you why.
Mhm.
Since you're curious about it. If I'm in a room with my wife and child,
and they're sleeping.
and they're sleeping, I don't want any distractions. I don't want to get on the phone. I have plenty of other time over which I can get legal advice when the visitations are over. Spend 20 hours a day on the phone getting legal advice. But the visits are visits, and that's it. If you need to consult with lawyers and counselors and advisors and all those stuff.
I think it was just multitasking at the time because she was holding our child.
Focus.
My focus was there,
Not if you're on the phone with somebody else.
but it was in dealings with what we're up against here.
Not on the phone with somebody else.
Okay, so when you're
Just her and the child.
when you're home with your wife, when she had your children, your 2 daughters, and she'd be sleeping with the baby,
24/7.
what did you do?
24/7. I was right there,
Doing what?
tending to her and my children.
What if they're sleeping?
I slept with them.
He's done that too.
I made a prayer.
Mhm. It's not like he can do housework because we're in a room that's not ours.
I know. It won't last too long, just 4 hours.
Mhm.
Better than 2. Think your questions are appropriate to a guy who's going to make a decision in your life?
I'm just looking for.
No. I ask you a question. You think your questions about my personal life are appropriate under these circumstances? You think that's appropriate? Good judgment now. I'm going to ask you again. Good judgment.
No, because it will be used against me.
That's good judgment right there. It's not I would use it against you, but I formulate opinions about whether you have good judgment. And that's one of them. You with me?
Mhm.
Okay.
Tommy,
Think before you act.
I didn't interrupt you.
Sorry.
Would you like the department, as soon as the psychologicals are completed, to file something with the court? And then we can get a date, or?
If you'll just give me those days, I'm assuming they're at least a week or 2 down the road, right? Or 3?
To make a date, that's the whole thing. I think she needs to have time just to be able to call the doctor, get a date for the evaluation, and then once he has the evaluation, how much time is it usually take for him just to put it down?
Usually a couple weeks, a little after. I mean, we could be
today was,
Why isn't it today? That
this is
means
a
you'll have
status
to-
conference.
I'll call today, Your Honor.
Okay.
I'll do the
Like I
best
said,
can.
I didn't foresee it
All right,
going this way,
Mr.
but
Holm, here's the thing, just for your information, so you'll be real clear, these evaluations that I'm asking, y'all need to just meet Dr. David, tell him what your thoughts are, let him get a check on, get a read out on what your mental health should or should not be noted, how it should be noted. But you need to understand something. We're expediting that. That means we're making it quicker. You know, your file is being pushed forward, okay? And you think it's not, because it's been 3 or 4 months. But the quicker you can comply, that means that if Ms. Smith, you have her number?
Yes, sir.
All right? Do you keep records of your cell phone calls or the whatever, the department? Do you have
We
records of
just
that?
enter it into the narrative, Your Honor.
Okay. When you make any call, get your little thing, and know when it's made and what time it's made,
Yes, sir.
and the information that was shared. I want it dialed. Because I want them coming back and saying, I never got that call. If you have to record it, record it. It's fine. You know, Mr. Holm is home, got your appointment set up Tuesday at 4. If they say your appointment's Tuesday at 4, be there.
We're everywhere we need to be when we need to be there.
Perfect answer. Get it done, get it back. As soon as that takes place, she will have already had her visits done. You should have had several visits occur. And this train will get to the next station fast for your benefit and the benefit of your son. He needs y'all.
of course he does. You shouldn't have been taken from us.
Oh my God.
Your Honor, let me ask, and this is just the.
I'm not turning my head because I agree or disagree with you. It's because your comments are so counterproductive, it's ridiculous. So that's a problem for me. But you know what? That's a personality quirk that you might have. Whether or not it rises to the level of, you know,
It's my opinion.
yeah, right. I just don't make much of it.
Right. And we're under duress here
Your
today.
opinion is kind of like that, folks. Everybody's got a couple.
Yeah.
All right. What?
Your Honor, I was just gonna ask, just trying to make sure we can get this done just as fast as possible, okay, for the psych eval. And I know you said Dr. Wilson, but
Yes.
if we call Dr. Wilson says, I do not have anything next 2 weeks, I can absolutely not do it. Do we have your permission to call Dr. Lowry and see if he is able to have it
If
completed?
he's quicker, if he gets.
I just want it done as fast as possible, and I know the court does too, so
Yeah,
I just don't wanna have
I
it
know.
limited to one.
Right, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fair enough, Dr. Lowry. And then if you get in there, now look, you know, you need to know, if these mental health professionals are gonna ask you a bunch of questions. So I expect you to cooperate with them. I'm not trying to, look, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on in your mind. I've only had a couple of tutor hours with you.
So this is-
Despite the fact your wife wants to come out to the house,
Mhm.
you know, the law probably looks at that like a little bit questionably, because, you know, I'm the judge in the case.
We're all brothers and sisters.
So, yeah, you wanna wait till the case is over, you might not wanna come out to the house.
So we're doing this under duress. We're being forced to go, but we're going to go there.
You know,
Yes.
you use that term a little bit throughout the course of these hearings, Mr.
Yes.
Holm.
Yes.
If I'm in your shoes and I'm up on a mountain and my wife is about to deliver a child and she is, I don't know if I should use the term hemorrhaging. Will you bleed?
A very little bit.
Okay.
That's as soon as I saw drops of blood, we called 911.
Well, we made the decision ourselves to do that.
Right.
Before that, I was
You made a good decision to call 911. Those drops could have turned into a stream.
right,
You could have died.
which is why we called 911.
Right. All that being said, that bleeding and isolation caused you to reach out for help. Correct?
The fear. I think it was more so the fear of The fear of anything wrongful happening at the time.
I thought God would provide.
That's just it. Yeah, that's just it, is that we feared at the time of it.
What did you fear?
We feared of,
What everyone always fears, death.
yes.
Well, and how is death going to happen?
It could happen at any
It can happen anytime, in any way. Well, anything could ever happen.
Call 911.
Right, yeah, you got shook up, didn't you? You got scared. Right? Well, yeah.
Fear.
Fear.
Yes.
You got scared.
Yes.
Fear is kind of like, I'm shook. I'm afraid. Right?
It was more kind of like concerned.
Concerned.
Yeah, concerned of the situation, and we assessed it together.
All right, and you made the decision to call 911.
Right.
You
But if we
made
did,
an
but if,
opinion to do what you thought was best for the circumstances, correct?
right, but is it not our right to not have a natural birth? Is that what you're saying?
No. Listen to me. What you could have done, y'all ready for this? What you could have done, you could have, as you say you like to do, rely on God to provide for everything.
Yes.
You could have just dropped down on your knees and had a prayer.
That's right.
And God would have provided. Right?
God allows
Well,
the devil too.
yeah, God allows the devil.
So you think if you didn't intervene, the devil would come along and you'd die from the devil's hands?
Well, ultimately, I mean,
I mean,
anything could happen in life. I don't understand where you're going at with this.
I'm talking about that instant.
Yeah.
If you truly believe that God will provide, why'd you call 911?
Because we dropped into fear. We were concerned. I saw a drop of blood.
So your fear took you off the eyes of God, and so
Yes.
Yes.
that happened? So if you'd have really prayed through this, you wouldn't have called 911? Is that what you're telling me?
It's just it's our religious belief to try and be as natural as possible.
I got that.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you need to do other things, sometimes when somebody's telling you to do different things, then you need to kind of go along with society in that day and time. But we try to be as natural
So
as
at what
possible.
point do you get to pick and choose when you want to go along with society and when you want to do your own thing?
When society is all around us.
No, I'm asking.
I don't know why this is relevant to that 911
Because
call.
I just want to see what
Just don't answer
you're
anymore.
thinking. At what point do you get to pick and choose when society should be involved and when they shouldn't be involved?
I should just be able to follow my own beliefs until I'm not breaking laws.
Right. Well, I didn't say you were a criminal. I just
Right.
said you might have acted inappropriately under the circumstances.
Calling 911 when I saw a drop of blood. I was trying to have a natural childbirth, and unassisted childbirth is not illegal in Alabama. And many people do it with midwives and unassisted home births and all these things. Before we started traveling, we went to midwives. I was going to have a natural
I
childbirth.
think we've been over this already.
Right.
Did you hear me disagree with any of that?
No.
So why are you arguing with me?
Because you're asking her questions and she's giving you an answer.
I just asked her what she could have done, what she could have done and didn't do.
What could I have done differently?
Oh, I'm glad you did what you did.
Right.
But if you really, really believe that God will provide, why make the call? Why did you call?
Why are you badgering us on our beliefs?
No, I'm not badgering you. I'm answering the question.
You're badgering us on our beliefs.
Why'd you call, Mr. Holm, if God will provide?
Because we dropped into fear.
So is that anti-God or is that with God? Is that without Him?
Don't answer anymore. He's I don't know what's going on here with him. You're badgering us on our beliefs.
Man, you ain't seen badgering, Mr. Holm. You don't know badgering.
I guess I mean I'm learning right now, I guess.
Yeah, well, okay. I guess I got to take my hair off my head and show you my horns.
I don't understand where you're going with that.
Look, here's a question.
I mean, you're painting a picture here that's wrong.
Do you think God will provide for everything? I'm just calling you out, Mr. Holmes.
Does
If you
God
think God will
provide?
provide, why did you call
I never said you had horns. That's not calling me out. That's trying to make a fantastical picture.
Don't get bogged down on my silliness. Why did you call 911 if God will provide? Answer my question.
We did, a million
No,
times.
hold it. Not if God will provide. If He will provide.
We're
why
not
did you
answering any
call
more questions
911?
now.
You answer.
No, I'm not going to answer any more questions because you're badgering us on our beliefs.
Right, so you get to pick and choose when you get badgered, when you get anxiety, when you get put under duress.
I'm not under anxiety or whatever. I just choose to not speak to you because you're badgering us about our beliefs.
So, you sissy enough on me?
No.
Sound like you are. Sound like you sissy enough on me.
think that you're antagonisting me because you're trying to get a rise out of me.
I got a question for you.
We answered you. You dropped into fear.
Okay, that's your answer. Why'd you call 911?
That's the same reason.
Okay, fear of what?
Just fear. Don't answer anymore. I don't understand I don't understand why you're badgering us about our belief.
I'm not mad at you about your belief. I believe what you believe. I think it's so wonderful.
All right.
I just want to know why you didn't just let God provide when she started hemorrhaging.
We don't have any more answers.
And do you, Miss Holm? That's going to really help you get your son back.
This has nothing to do with
It has nothing to do with our son,
We
getting our
called
son back.
911 when we
It
felt
has
that
everything to do with you making good judgments in terms of your ability to raise a child and care for it. It has everything to do with it. Your judgment.
Because of our belief.
No, your judgment.
Okay,
our judgment
tell us what was wrong.
called
Hold on.
911.
What was wrong with our judgment?
Your judgment to call 911 is good.
But what was wrong with anything else?
Your judgment to be up on top of a mountain with a 9-month pregnant woman, not so good.
Why is that?
You didn't have adequate shelter. You didn't have adequate medical provision. You didn't have adequate supplies. You didn't have adequate food, water, and means to provide for a child in a naturally born,
So
healthy
home
environment.
births are not considered good anymore.
I think they're wonderful.
Natural births are not
I
considered
think
good.
they're wonderful.
What evidence or facts do you have that we didn't have anything that you just stated?
It's all in the tape.
But we did have all that.
I respectfully disagree.
Well, that's all. Then I don't know what else to do here.
Yeah, except for listen to the judge.
We're doing as best as we can.
Yeah, well, okay. You got a few chores to get done, and we'll be back, right? You know what the chores are? You know what your chores are?
The
Yeah.
chores are what the courts are ordering.
Okay. All right. And the quicker the better. Right?
Yes.
Now, you just say yes, or you really mean it. The quicker the better.
The quicker my son is with me and
The
us,
better.
the better.
I'm with you. What do you think, Miss Miller?
I would very much like to come back very soon, to resolve this in one way or the other. I'm happy to go out and see the parents' home once they complete this evaluation. Those are two of my main concerns that I think can move this case forward.
Okay. All right. You want this?
Where do I need to take that?
I don't know.
I'm just not sure that I know how to make a copy. But
Just don't lose it.
if you're,
Yeah, Alex.
and I'll try to put, if the court's okay with that, I'll try to see if we can put the 911 call on there as well, so everybody can have everything.
That'd be perfect.
In front of the court.
The 911 call. Okay.
And are we going to be able to get where I called for 911?
I'm going to have you Bill mark that at the next hearing, when I have an official quote hearing where I'll receive any kind of post-trial evidence, which I might do, because I'm going to need to receive this report from Dr. Wilson as a matter of consideration. I'll receive that documented evidence that you have. You can mark it and put it in as parents exhibit number 6 or 7 as an attempt as proof that he made the call for 911. I'll have that marked and put into evidence. The other 911 call. You should have a few visits underneath your belt by then. Hopefully they'll go great. It shouldn't be that difficult. You just walk in, hey, here's ready for home. Not a guy.
That's how it is every time.
What are you
And
gonna
no,
do?
we didn't
What are you
officially
going to do
name
about
him
today's
that.
visit?
Are you arguing with me?
I thought it was a question.
You asked me a question, I said, no, we didn't officially name him that.
Malachi.
We didn't officially name him that.
Oh, you got a name?
We haven't been able to spend proper time with him, with ourselves, to come up with a name.
Baby boy Malachi. Baby boy Holm. Right? So don't forget to copy. Also, Allison, let's copy the records that he brought, because he wanted me to go back and be able to ascertain, his treatment. So make sure the order says that I got copies of his prior mental health records, so I can evaluate or at least read them. And to the extent that I guess you'll need to deal with the stop stop the medicine issue too from Wilson? Will Wilson analyze whether or not that was a good idea, or the other guy, Lowry, do they analyze whether that's a
I
good
think
idea?
probably to the best of his ability off the answers he's able to get from the.
But, you might have to rush up a request, you might wanna get, did Judge Walker actually get these Savannah records in or out? I mean, there was a group that was in, a group that was not in, so I mean.
Judge, there was a,
So they did come in for purposes of impeachment?
Yes.
Now, does anything ever?
We object to the validity of them because they weren't certified properly.
Right, okay. I can fix that. Let's resend them, certified, I'll make them part of the record. Just, that's a procedural, that's an easy fix.
But we've revoked any and all permissions.
Yeah, well, you know what? You don't get to do that here. I'm gonna get the records. I don't really care what you think about that. So get the records, get them certified, I'll make them a part of the file. I need them to make a real good decision, whether you like the decision or not. I need those records, I wanna see what's in them. You got something to hide in the record?
No, I don't, just as long as they're going to be certified.
We'll certify them.
Okay.
You know, that's the way it should be done.
Right.
You like to do things a certain way, right?
By the law and just certified, yeah,
So
quality of
the
law.
order that you're about to get is gonna be the law in this case. Because I, unfortunately, wear the robe of the law. It's called case law. Okay? You gotta get with the program. But more importantly, you gotta find a way to do those healthy things for your son, which you wanna do, right?
We're doing this under duress. We're here today under duress.
Okay. Got a dictionary out there? You got your Google? Stephanie, you go off there for just a minute. Bear with me. I'm gonna be a patient soul here today. Siri, can you tell me the definition of duress?
Let me check that.
Uh-oh. Duress. All right. Stephanie? No, let's go back on for just a minute. Mr. Holm has indicated that he is here today under duress. I'm looking at the definition of duress that says it is defined as threats, violence, constraints, or other action brought to bear on someone to do something against their will or better judgment. Or another legal definition is constraint illegally exercised to force someone to perform an act. I guess I could concede that Mr. Holm has the better judgment, and this would be considered duress. Or I could use a synonym: coercion, compulsion, force, pressure, intimidation, constraint. I like the synonym pressure. Force, if necessary, I guess when you're legally ordered to do something, I guess you're forced to do it. Intimidation, I call that, the other one, that would be, action by compliance, compliance by action. Real thing. If you feel like you're under duress, good for you. I hope that duress will motivate you to get your son back as quickly as possible. If you don't want to feel any more duress, then do what you're supposed to do. Get him back, and this will all go away. And you won't have any more duress put on you by me, the Department of Human Resources. Just get on board. You know, just go with the flow, just a short while. You can be on your merry way. I'm glad you're feeling depressed. I'm feeling a little duress. Because y'all under a little duress, you've got to do certain compliant things within a certain amount of time. That's a little duress. Guardian's got to make visits. It's going to be a little uncomfortable out there videotaping other people's houses. She doesn't really want to have to put her nose in, but I've ordered her to do it. That's a little duress. Mr. Kirby probably feels like he can do a whole lot to help you, but he's not going to be allowed to anymore because you really don't want his help. He's feeling a little duress. My secretaries have missed lunch because I want them out here. I wanted to take a record of these proceedings. She's feeling duress.
Are they here because of that today? Are they on trial, or are they here because of that today?
If they don't perform, you better believe they're on
All
trial.
right. Because we're under duress because our child was kidnapped from us.
Well, they're under duress because if they don't do what they're supposed to do, I bring the heat. You understand that, don't you?
I hear you.
No, that's not what I asked you, John. It's a simple, I understand, Your Honor.
I hear you. I don't understand the way that you're presenting that.
Yeah, well, okay. All righty. Mr. Holm, you have a lot to learn. But I like your demeanor. It's pleasant.
I'm sorry.
I like your demeanor. It's pleasant.
All right. Well, we're trying to do as best as we can in these situations that we're in. As the
Now, you give me an order outside. I want to quit.
Judge, I can try to do that as quickly as possible. I do have court this afternoon.
No, not today.
But I'll
Monday
try to
morning,
get it.
I have a trial, 2-day trial, and I have another one right behind it for 2 days next week.
I'll try to get it in very
All right,
first of next week.
as soon as you get it in, cue us, and I'll sign it. Y'all be good with it. You might want to run it by Shelley. Do y'all get texts and pictures on your phone?
Yes, we do. But we would like to address one other thing. Is that we have well, I think we filed a motion on it as far as with our visitations, where we were having complications of lies once again that were filed in per my visitations to be removed. And we just feel that this process of us having to go and visit our child there with these people that are making these false accusations is maybe a biased situation for us to go into.
Yeah. All right. We'll finish.
That's pretty much it.
Okay. Here's what I'll say about that. The Department of Human Resources is made up of a building which has certain physical accommodations and safety features in it.
Yes.
The building itself does. It also comprises of workers who have to manage their cases while they're in the building. The primary responsibility for managing the case where they have custody of the child would be, I guess, to open the door and let people in, show them where the room is, check on them, what, after 4 hours, or maybe during the course of it, or wait for a knock at the door and say, hey, we're good. So, opening the door, saying, hey, welcome home.
Yes.
Here's your room.
Well, since we have malicious intent, we just ask that Leslie Smith be taken off of our case and somebody else be put on.
All right.
That's all.
Are you gonna answer the door?
Yes, sir, I normally do due to the fact that my work is still extremely intimidated by the family.
Right, okay. I know you don't like her, or because you don't believe what she stands for.
Well, she lied. And,
She lied.
yeah.
I only have witnesses to that.
Right, okay. Well, she won't be talking to you. She's gonna open the door and say, welcome home, I'm gonna show you to your room. That's it. Okay? Now, do you have a lot of free time? So, for these visits?
Me, Judge? Depending on, it all depends on the day.
experience, and this is really an oddball thing I do, in my experience, if somebody wants to wiggle, the best way to keep them from wiggling is to just paint them in a corner so they don't have any room to wiggle. So the procedure is real simple. You open the door, welcome home, I'll show you your room. You can do that. If you have questions, don't ask me. You're already home. Thank you for opening the door. Appreciate the space. We can do this artificial visitation.
Yes.
I promise you it is. I get that. But that's the best we can do right now. Better than what you had. So.
It's better than not having any.
Absolutely. That's great. I appreciate you talking about that. It's like my illustration earlier about walking over hot coals with my children. If the devil wanted to sit on the couch beside me, assuming my kids couldn't see, and I got to see my child, I'd say, come on back, come on in, boy. You know, I get to see my child. Whether you like her or don't like her, I don't know. It's irrelevant to me. You go in there and you get your visit with your son, and ignore all the other outside numbers. That's the most important thing to me.
Absolutely.
We're doing our best to do that.
So we're taking care of from Monday to Friday for those 4 hours. By the time you get your evaluation done, those 4 weeks have taken place, we'll be right back here. Just as quick as I can get it, because y'all do what you gotta do, and they can be satisfied about the report from Dr. whichever one, and Ms. Allison get that whole thing, we will be right back. And if I have to stay after my trial at 5 o'clock at night and get y'all back up in here for some sort of hearing to get some resolution, I will. For my family. The most Christian lady I've ever met. I need her influence in my life. Okay? I'm not saying that she's not Christian. I'm just saying for me, that's the reality. I also have a preacher's wife taking notes for people. Do they know what it is to love? Mr. Kirby, you've been a long time being very patient, and I know you frustrated the HR there with your questions, and I think you uncovered about all the things you needed to uncover on behalf of the homes at this particular point. I know they you're pretty independent, they want to be, that's fine. I'm going to grant your order, your motion to withdraw.
Okay.
So, things change down the road, you can always ask for another appearance, and see, I grant if necessary.
Okay.
I have access to the, long as you let me call order, and call you back if necessary, if you like it, getting jammed up. You're fully welcome to get somebody else or another lawyer and come back, or whatever you want to do, no problem. Get these chores done, this homework, these orders, getting handled, we'll be back as quick as we can. I'm not going to let this case linger around. But, you're not liking my aggressive. You need to have some resolution. So the lady will home. You know, if I was not listening, y'all have your spirit time together. You don't have him with you when you name him? You want him to be with you, but you can't do it. You don't want to do it today, sorry, you want to do it sometime.
We want him in our care so
Yeah,
that we can.
once he's back at the house.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I thought they were going home. Anything, you understand now, I'm going to make something clear. You understand, I don't have a gag order. I don't need that. Okay? I don't need a gag order. But there is a law. The scriptures also teach us that we're to render unto Caesar what Caesar. You understand that scripture, right?
Yeah, I've heard that scripture.
It's about civil obedience. You might have heard that first.
I've heard it.
So the law means that this hearing is confidential. When it's all said and done, and the dust is settled on this case, and it's closed, you can write a book. No problem. But until it's closed, you are too. You're an officer of the court now, right? Because you're representing yourself. You're pro se. You're not just a party to the proceedings. You're a party to the proceedings, and you want to argue like a lawyer. So you're bound by the same rules and cannons.
We're actually standing here as man and woman, representing ourselves as kind of like an abstract form of it. We're just standing here.
Right. As a man and a woman who is in a court proceeding, who is representing themselves, you're called pro se litigants. You have no counsel. So the laws of Alabama would apply to your silence as it would that lawyer, this lawyer, and her agent. So don't break the law. You said what laws have I broken? At this point, I won't go into any. But if you run your mouth outside of this court proceeding, I will consider that breaking the law. I see you're nodding.
I hear you.
Do you understand that, or you hear me?
I hear you.
You hear me.
I don't understand this process that we're going through because of child being taken, but I hear you.
You're not the only one that's been in a courtroom like this and can't figure out what's going on.
No, I'm figuring out what's going on, but I hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Make appropriate judgments when you leave here. Anything else? First time I've ever seen you. So, hopefully it wasn't too bad. My girls are going to buzz like crazy when I get through with this here. Judge, I cannot believe you spent all that time. Right? It's coming. All right. Get your, do you have copies of that recommendation?
I do, I gave,
You give them one and,
Yes.
and I got one?
yes, I'll leave one for you, I've got one.
You got the CD?
Yes.
All right. Let's get this fast conference concluded. You are correct. Good to see you. Can you make it?
One later too.
Can you make it?
You make it.
You'll be all right.
Yeah.
Just tough it out a little bit.
We're doing as best as we can.
I know. Okay, thank you. All right. Okay.
Do you want to go ahead and give me your address?
We're gonna have to speak for a little bit and see what we want to do.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm gonna go ahead and go, guys.
And what I'm going to do, because I have court at in Cleveland at 1:30, I've started making a list. What I'll do is email that to y'all and to DHR.
Yep.
Does that sound like a plan?
I'm sorry, Kirby was just.
Oh, no,
speaking
you're
to
fine.
me.
I've started making a list. I mean, it's things that we talked about, like running water, electricity, heat source for air, water,
Well, that-
shelter, enclosed from the elements, roof, floor, etc. Somewhere for the baby to sleep, like a bassinet or pack and play, clothing, blankets, diapers, wipes, formula, and ability to maintain all that stuff.
And then this will be an order that will be put into the court for us to do.
Yes, well, but I'm going to go ahead and email you guys once this looks, so that way, because Judge said he wanted to know if there's anything y'all objected to, that kind of thing. So I'll try to do that hopefully later today, if not this weekend, first thing
So
Monday.
when we get into the orders is when we'll give it to you. We'll do it.
Okay.
That's okay.
I mean, I'd prefer to do it now, but that's.
Hey, I want you to come to the house. The problem though is the law, it might have what we call the appearance of impropriety, like y'all are getting a leg up on the
And
other
I'm going to work
side.
on getting
Yes.
copies of all that too. It probably
So-
won't happen today.
Well, we don't feel like that's happening too much.
I got it.
I do have a question though. What can we do about our 911 call?
It'll come in. I'm
that
gonna
is
put.
missing?
I don't
We
know.
called 4 counties. We called Talladega.
It would only be
Clay.
on the. It would only be on. Did you remember who you talked to? Or did
We
you
talked
made
to,
it?
we talked,
talked
oh, you
to-
mean,
Let me see what you got there.
So we took pictures just so you could.
and just so you'll understand better here, this is her mother, and this is where we pay our car payment, just so you know that this is not
Right.
fake.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll make that a part. I mean, honestly, I'll accept that as a call that got made. At this point, I'm glad he made it. So just
And
whether he
was
made it first or
15
second,
minutes
it's.
before the other call.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we were the only ones that called up until. The only way for those people to have found out is if we called, because we were alone.
I understand. I think I'm glad you made it. I'm still not. You still made me a little nervous. You know that. You know that.
So I just also want.
I'll mark it and make it a part of the record and note that the father, made that 911 call 15 minutes prior to the call by 911. If it needs to be in an order or something like that, as a finding of fact, I can do that. It's not a problem.
And I plan on trying to get my transcripts from college because I did go to school for psychology. I'm not crazy.
Focus. No, wait a minute. I didn't say y'all were. focus on just the real basic stuff you gotta get done for this case. You know, and if you can pull them out, you know, if you can download them and get them sent to you, great. I mean, at this point, I don't think anybody's questioning your education, you know. You know, I
Well,
think they have
no,
questions
but-
about the prenatal care and all the things that went with that, you know. I mean, nobody asked you, who'd you see, what hospital, what clinic, how many times you go there, what they prescribe, what they find, where's your records on it. Nobody's asked for records from Arizona, Georgia, Florida, New
Yeah,
Hampshire,
and
you know,
the
to find out if you did in fact get prenatal care.
And the hospital even,
Aren't you kind of a fitness person
I
by
was a
trade?
personal trainer.
By trade?
Yeah. I mean, that
How
was
old are you?
33.
How old are you?
I'm 35.
35?
Yeah.
All right.
Do we not have a right to parent?
You'll get it. Just give it time.
I mean, it seems like that we're setting up a license to parent
No.
instead of a right to parent.
You have a right to parent. It's like a tar baby. Once you get your hands on a child in a bureaucratic system like this, which this case got dropped on them
Can we show you these?
when the hearing at the next hearing.
Okay.
So,
But Allison will go by and
we
check.
understand the process of law and the judicial system. I completely agree. What we don't understand is the false accusations and lies and then the malintent through it.
Yeah.
We're
You
not.
know what? I don't know if you'll ever understand that. You probably won't, because your mindset is. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just vastly different than most people deal with. So I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying you will never really understand it or get it. It won't. So you need to. I say.
Well, we don't have the right to lie.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that's what we're dealing with. Is we're dealing with lies
Well,
and false
I wouldn't
accusations.
say that they're all lies. I'd say there were some differences of opinion about what happened.
Well, I'm not saying that they're all lies.
Are those pictures of what you had at the campsite and all this other kind of stuff? Didn't those get admitted the last time?
No, we have pictures of our current living
Okay, yeah,
situation.
well, Allison's gonna get it.
Okay.
I'll have to have it under, when everybody's here, so. Patience.
We're doing as
Get those
best
visits in.
as we can. We miss
Tell
our
her,
child.
I know
We
you.
just want our family.
When you walk by Miss Smith, hey, Miss Smith, thanks for opening the door. That's it.
We've been nice to her.
At this point, we'd rather just not even speak to her because of what
So
she's
don't
done.
say, don't, just walk in and say thanks, or don't even say thanks, you can, I don't mean, whatever. Just go in, get your visit done, appreciate the accommodation, get out of there. Wish I didn't have to be here. Whatever, just get it done. Dr. Wilson calls or Dr. Lowry, whoever, get in there and tell them what you think.
So, are we going over any motions at all in the future?
The only motion I have that's really big is that motion to dismiss, the petition, which is a normal motion before a judge finally makes a decision about the child being dependent or not.
Because we were going to subpoena the police officers that
I
have
think that's
been,
vital.
hold on, the police officers that were supervising our visits at DHR.
To see how they went.
No, we
No,
were going to
they-
subpoena them because they were witnesses to the very lies that they put on the motions.
They can testify that Leslie said that she took away our visitations because she feared of her life because of notices.
But she said that we stopped visitations.
She said-
Okay, all right, let me just say
That's
this.
usually
I
what-
can't give you legal advice, but here's what I would suggest. If you think it's that important, do you know how to do a subpoena?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you think it's that important and you want me to consider that testimony about why they cut your visits off, you talking about Leslie? Which Leslie?
Leslie,
Smith
she
was
was
sitting
sitting
over
on the
there.
left.
It showed
the
her
little girl over
malicious
there?
intent.
Yeah, yeah.
It really does.
Okay, if it does, then what? Take the next step.
There's
up.
multiple-
It shows go ahead.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
multiple things here where she's constantly painting a picture of us that we are threatening, that they have security at their place because we gave threats. We've never given a threat.
I will not talk too much more about the specifics in this case,
Okay.
but I will suggest something to you. Now, this is going to sound like a ridiculous story, but I've been in this business for 30 years, and there's probably not a perfect way to resolve problems by going to the courthouse. This is probably the worst place to solve matters of family issues. They were. I would go to family court when I was a young lawyer, and I'd go like, "Why are we in family court? This is a mom and dad issue." Well, you know what the kids would say? Mom's home drunk. Dad, I ain't seen him in 10 years. It was outrageous. So guess what? The courts were in the mix.
So we understand that, but
Yeah,
there's none of that here.
Yeah. No, I know that. But what's happening is the department is established to set up those extreme cases. They unfortunately, or fortunately as the case may be, they have certain rules. And let me explain something else. I'll illustrate this. I don't know if you made, they voiced a concern that was not rebutted by y'all. I mean, they said that you made some threat about filing a lien or something on their homes. I don't know if that, you didn't say, I never said that, so I don't know what the response was, but they said you said it.
Yeah, no, we never even.
Well, I mean, I don't know why they would make that up.
Yeah.
But it's in there, it's in the trial, so they said that you were gonna.
We sent out
So-
notices of demand notices.
Notices of intent to make.
But we never said we were going to.
All right, but that kind of thing.
The demand notices, somebody approached us in the beginning of this and said that y'all have been completely wronged, and you have people that are acting out of color of law, and
I wouldn't believe everything anybody's ever told you about what's going on here.
Well, they are the ones that wrote those demands, and we were we
kind of naive about them.
Naive
We were
and also vulnerable.
Our
Yeah,
sons
okay.
too.
Very vulnerable. We're very vulnerable
Yeah,
here.
I would agree with that. Probably wasn't a good idea, you know.
Is it against the
But
law
even
to send out
so,
notices?
that is not causing harm to our child to take visits away.
I have to probably more than halfway agree with you. I mean, that really wasn't, at that point, maybe everybody should take a deep breath and say, you know, really, how significant is this? You know, to justify
An
stopping
infant,
visits
yes.
with the mother.
We didn't see him for 5 weeks.
And then the next time she blatantly lied. She said,
She
I
said
told her
we
something.
stopped
I told her
visits.
about a story about me being in school and being with a
bullied
bully.
around. She took that as a threat.
Yeah,
And
but
we
she
have a
said that I
poli-
punched the bully. That's not true. The bully punched me
Yeah, I
and
saw-
I saved
I
my
saw
friend.
that.
And it is a police officer that's willing to testify to the truth because he was standing right there.
Yeah. Now, whether they reacted inappropriately, deceitfully, or over-exaggeratedly, you know, I don't know. I mean,
Completely deceitful,
Right.
flips the entire thing
okay.
to make him look like a threat, and he's not.
Yeah, they may
I
have.
think they're privy to sensitive information. They look in the computer and they make preconceived ideas.
And you know why they do that? Because the day they don't do all the things that they're doing now, and they allow a child to, well, you know, be exposed to certain things, that child ends up with his throat cut, you know, or ends up in a prostitution ring or a child pornography ring. I mean,
We can't make decisions on innuendo or guesses.
I get that, but you have. I'm asking
And he's
you.
never had a threat of harm, a threat of
There has to
violence.
be something of that.
But I'm asking you, in the context of the things that they have to operate within, you know, they are. I use the word jumpy. You know, they're sensitive, like you are. About, you know, you're extremely over here. They're extremely over there. So
I'm all about willpower. Just your personal willpower.
you have it, then use it to get them back.
We're
Trying.
trying.
Focus on.
And
focus on
the
that
whole
specific-
thing with the psych eval and stuff, we went to Bodenheimer and we didn't feel comfortable with her at all because I felt like rather than being a counselor, she's badgering
Yeah,
us, asking
she's-
our bank information.
Yeah, why would she ask
And
my bank
I
information?
have no idea. Oh, I know why. Probably, I'm guessing. I don't know. But I'm guessing they probably want to know if you have the discipline to maintain a bank account and can stay organized with your finances so that you can make provisions for a
Well,
child.
this was a first visit, just intaking information, where we live, what we're doing, da-da-da-da. What's your bank?
No.
What bank do you use?
No,
And
look, you know what? If it meant I was going to get my son back, I told them whatever they needed to know.
but
I guess what we're trying to say is, when does that stop? Do we keep testing? Do we keep testing everybody that births out babies at the hospital, or do we?
I don't
do we
care.
put everybody on license?
Christian, at this
You see what I'm
point, you worry too much about everybody else and what their issues are. I'd worry about baby boy home.
saying? I
do what I
am.
need to do right here.
I am, but we must keep a just system, otherwise chaos will happen.
I'm with you on that. But
That's
you know,
all I'm
you
saying.
can't let people.
We're being bullied.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
If they don't stop and check what they're responsible for, then the next couple who goes up to child, who births a child, quote, under the radar, has that child in a child pornography ring. They don't know this.
But once they
Right, here you
realize
go.
that we're not
But
those
what's
people.
that baseline of where they make that decision?
Well, based on what they
their
hearing.
So
opinions.
you see what I'm saying? And then those opinions are lies. We just want our child back. And we want to leave Alabama, and we don't ever want to come back here.
Well, I won't say too much about that because I've got to have everybody here to talk about it. I hear you.
We were just,
As you say, I hear you.
yeah.
All right, you got some stuff you got to get done. Allison, go out to the house.
Yeah, when,
See, now, a lot of judges would be obstinate. A lot of judges would sit up there and say, son, you don't want to tell me your address? Forget you. When you get ready to get off your high horse, let me know, and then dismiss the hearing and be gone. You'll be out there wondering for the next several weeks what happened to you. So be alert.
I'm alert.
I'm just saying.
We're just,
not everybody's going to sit up there and dialogue back and forth and go on and on and on. I mean, a typical judge, when they hear a husband or a dad who wants his child back, who doesn't even want to tell somebody where they live, they're going, are you serious?
we don't
Well,
trust
it's all
these
right. Is
people.
it not our right to have
It's good to exercise your right, but Christian, remember, when you do, there's always, it's like Einstein, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. That's life. You know that. You're a naturalist, right? Or a naturalist?
we try to live as close.
Yeah.
The Amish might be as close as the way we like to
But
live.
you know, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction in life. You know, not everybody in the world understands that real simple thought process. You have protocol, you have bureaucracy, you have politics. You know, I'm just a regular guy trying to make a good impression on this world as I pass through it.
But we do have rights, though, as parents.
Of course you do. It's a fundamental right. That's why it's the law for them to make every effort at this point
So I
to
guess-
make safe, reasonable efforts to get your child back. But they're going to make sure that they do that.
So
And
I
I'm
guess
gonna
what
help them.
we're saying is that why are we not looking at the foundation of their accusations first, and then if there's any truth to it, then we go forward with the rest of ordering us to do things.
Well, back as I was saying, y'all disagree with my perception. I know you do. My perception of a young couple, despite all your good intentions, was almost devastating. Y'all know that. That's why you got in the jam and called 911. It was an emergency situation. You placed yourselves and her, you're the man. You know, you say you didn't put her in any harm's way. You didn't deliberately, but your judgment, in my humble opinion, which you don't agree with,
Right.
was dangerous.
Can I explain that to you? My judgment is to live as the people did before
You
too many
can.
possessions.
You can.
That's all.
You can.
So to say my judgment was wrong is to say that everybody's judgment 200 years ago or plus was wrong. You see?
Well, back in
That's
those
all.
days, it probably was.
Well, then that's to say that the Amish are living wrong. That's to say that the
Native
Native Americans are
Americans.
living wrong, and that's what we believe in.
Yeah.
That's
well,
all.
yeah.
That's all we're saying.
And that doesn't mean we would ever harm our child. I would die for
I
him.
know that. You would never do anything intentionally to harm your child. But when you do intentionally or unintentionally things that, now you say that, well, that didn't happen. I went in labor, it all turned out well. Healthy baby boy, great.
Healthy
Bless you.
because for 9 months I carried him, and I didn't even want to take Tylenol when I was in pain because I didn't want to hurt him.
My wife loves Dr. Pepper, Diet Dr. Pepper. Well, guess what she did when she found out she was pregnant, or before?
She stopped drinking it.
Not even
Same
a
here.
bit of it, so. All right, hey, keep it up. Now he's got a few chores in front of you in just a few more weeks. We'll be back up here, and the judge gets to make a decision, and we'll make one that's, you don't go, I can tell you're not gonna like the whole decision, but you're gonna like it.
Now,
Be tolerable.
Now, whenever you were telling when you were speaking up there, and you said that I might end up criminal or something like that. Was that you trying to state that you're going to have somebody arrest me for some type of false?
Don't get paranoid.
I'm not paranoid.
Here's the deal with that.
And then with Kirby, you said that I might be calling him in the future for some type of criminal intent. Was that you trying to put fear into me?
No, I'm trying to give you a heads up, and here's why. Here's what could, the worst case scenario is you could dig in and get obstinate. You don't want that.
Obstinate.
Meaning stubborn.
Explain.
Stubborn. Dig in. You don't want to comply. You go to the counselor, you go to his office, and you go, too many personal questions, I don't want to answer these, and you walk out.
So I can go to jail for that?
You could be held in contempt for non-complying with a court order. Yeah.
We already said if there's a court order, then we will comply with that. But up until this point, there hasn't been.
Okay, well, there should have been.
And there wasn't, so we haven't gone against anything,
Right,
it's
I
just
get
that there
you.
hasn't
I
been
understand.
anything.
But that's where I don't want you to falter. I want you to, hey, you know what? If I gotta go to the counselor, I'm there. If I gotta have some applesauce in the bottom shelf of my house, I'm there. What else you got to complain about? You know, you let me know what I gotta do, I got it done. Just like you did in your shelter care. That was wonderful. But the other hearing, where you said, I'm not going to.
Well, that's because we realized that our child wasn't coming back to us then.
Yeah,
We were telling the truth.
That's when you.
Yeah, we became distant because our
and
child was being.
your judgment, although it was important to you for that particular purpose, it didn't benefit you.
Well, we're under duress because our child has been taken
You
from
have to
us.
do what you, at that point, you should have done whatever you could have done to get your child back.
Well, we feel like that this is all being turned against us. That's all.
Doesn't matter what you feel.
Or we see it. We see it happening.
Okay.
That's all.
It doesn't matter what you see. What you have to know,
Yeah.
what you have to know is what it takes to get your son back. You can deal with your thoughts and what you know, and the reality is you want your son back. Whatever it takes to get him back, that's what you want to do.
But don't we have rights as parents to not have to be drawn through the ringer if they haven't proven their case?
At this, well,
Why are we having to jump through these services and hoops?
let me
and
go
we
back.
haven't done anything wrong.
Once you get, it's like a tar, babe. Once you get tar in your hands, it's hard to get it off. The tar is stuck on everybody.
Well, then that means that there's something wrong with the process that we're going through.
It's a slow process. You can't do things just like that. And they would argue that, hey, if you'd hand your business, if you'd let her go to your house, if you'd told them where you lived, he might be back 2 weeks ago.
And then I
We
would
didn't, we're not the ones that stopped the visits.
And then I would argue,
They did.
They did.
Yeah.
And then
I
I would argue that if they never made their false accusations, our child would have never been taken.
Yeah. Well, we can go round and round.
But that's the beginning. It's the beginning, is it
No.
not?
At this point, I'm moving forward.
But the petition is the beginning.
The petition, I can tell you this, the petition, you're on phase 2 of the petition. This is a 3-step process. You have a shelter care, you have a dependency case, and you have a disposition case. I can make rulings in the shelter, in the dependency, and I can make a legal finding that the child is dependent, that there's a dispute. There's a dispute over custody of the child. And at this point, there's a dispute between the state, them, and y'all. That's a dispute. So I can make that finding and still place the child back with mom and dad.
All right.
With certain provisions
Can I-
until we can get to the final dispositional phase and then ultimately dismiss the case.
Can I ask
You won't even know they're out there if you do what you're supposed to do as parents.
Can I ask you this? What gives them jurisdiction
The
over
law.
us in the custody?
What is that
laws in
law?
Alabama.
We have not
We have
found
not
that
found that
law.
law.
Look in the juvenile code. It's all in
We
there.
did.
Yeah, I got it for you. The juvenile code.
Did
It
you
says
get
nothing.
what I said about
It says nothing that DHR has jurisdiction over us.
They're acting under color of law. They are a state-sponsored and supported institution in the state of Alabama. The legislators have bestowed upon the Department of Human Resources those particular family responsibilities.
We cannot find that law.
Well, it's out there.
We can't find a law that states that they have jurisdiction over us.
Jurisdiction is a legal question for judges. That's me.
Yeah.
They have the power to do what they're doing. Now, whether you like it or not, at this
Who
point,
gives them that power?
our legislators. We have 5 local ones and we have 67 counties. Every county's got their own group of legislators. Y'all know that. They pass laws in the state of Alabama, about children and about negligence and about abuse. I mean, there's laws out there. Look,
But
I
it
spent
says
3
that,
years in law
but the
school.
law states that there must be some proof of negligence, and there hasn't been that.
Christian, listen to me. Despite what you think, believe, and feel about your natural beliefs regarding your religion and your natural selections in life for you, your wife, and your son, not just my personal thoughts, but medically, educationally, those natural birth issues should be thought through.
Who says they weren't?
Yeah, we thought through them.
Okay, hold on.
We got past the question that I asked.
No, the question is what gives them the right? Because you and Mrs. Holm, Danielle, put yourself in a circumstance that required emergency medical care.
And then we got ourselves out of it
But you know
by
what?
calling 911.
No, that was the beginning of it. You got yourselves out of it by calling it, but that's the beginning of it because all these other things,
Okay.
you know,
So
kind of
when
set
you-
up to be a perfect bad
So
storm.
when you go to a midwife, because midwives you can go to, when you go to a midwife and the same thing happens, there's a drop of blood and labor's continuing and your water isn't breaking, the midwives then call 911 to transfer them to the hospital. What is the difference there? If I went to a midwife, the same thing would have happened, and then I would have been transferred probably around the same time.
Well, you probably wouldn't start to call that midwife a devil and threaten them with this.
Whoa, I didn't call anyone at the hospital a devil.
That's what the
No,
transcript said.
not 911, not responders that we called.
And I think what happened was after they came
It was
into
the
our...
woman that took the baby off of me.
When they came into our room that night?
Well, the park rangers, I think, made the initial report, right?
No, the park ranger at that point we thought were our friends. It's like,
Yeah, but everybody's tried to help
Do
you.
you-
It turned out to be
no.
your enemy.
no,
Do you know
that's
about
not
the park?
true.
Do you know about the park ranger invading our our room? Do you know about that?
I know that you offered some testimony about why she's down here, and she said she just wanted to put a check on y'all, make sure everything was
No,
good.
she
deeper than
bombarded
that.
her way into our room, saying that she was family. I had to ask her to leave, and she got angry.
Very
And then she
nicely.
called Sherry. Then she
Well,
called.
she's so nice. Why are you asking her to leave?
Then she called.
We only
because
knew
it
her
was
for a
too-
week at
yeah,
that point.
We don't know her. It was
So-
But
possessive.
didn't she?
And I asked-
Wait a minute. Didn't she make arrangements to make sure that 911 knew exactly where y'all were over the course of a week to make sure that things didn't go sideways?
I don't know. I don't
Didn't
know.
that other park ranger give you a bunch of clothes and items like that to
Yes,
provide for the
that
child?
did
Yes,
happen.
that
Didn't she go
happened.
out and try to find a way for you to have a home, a camper, something? all
She
that stuff?
didn't.
all that?
Another woman did
Well,
with
but then-
donation
but-
money.
But
then
look,
that
you know,
fell
listen to
through
me, listen to
because
me. Y'all didn't do any of that. A good parent, I'm sorry, Christian and Danielle, a good parent, they're gonna have all that taken care of.
Yeah. Well, that's because.
That's why we're in this.
No,
case.
hold on. That doesn't,
no, you
that
all
doesn't
wrong.
mean that we didn't. It just means that when somebody came and offered, we're going to
Who
accept
says
an
that we
offering.
didn't have all that?
Oh yeah, where is it?
What do you mean? We had our car. We had everything that was
Christian.
necessary for this stuff.
Wrong.
Why is that wrong?
That's not enough to provide for a child, period. Now, we won't get into an argument about this. We're gonna talk about the case, we're gonna talk about it on the record, and we can drag it all out. I'm telling you, you're wrong. Get it in your mind, I was wrong.
We don't see anything wrong about it at all.
Well,
Because
that's
he
your
doesn't know
privilege.
everything.
Yeah.
He doesn't know
Right.
everything. That's the
I guess so.
problem.
And at this point, it's, let's move forward.
I'm trying, but this is so hard because
It's so hard
for
because
anyone
you
to
wanna
look
dwell
at
on the past.
no, for everyone
Move
to
forward.
look
No,
at me
y'all
like I'm a bad mother. Do you know how much
No.
I wanted this baby? How much I prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. I needed to have this baby. I would do anything because I want a baby so bad. I'm 33 years old. My time is ticking. It's almost over.
Good. Well, you'll get it.
When?
You'll
In
get
3
it.
years?
No, God, no.
And then
Is
once
that-
we
is
get
that
them
a-
back, they're
is-
going to invade our privacy for
Is
the
that
next
after
3
we're
years?
coerced into living this way of belief and not ours?
No.
But that's what's happening, though. We're being coerced in conversion tactics to live a certain way, and it's not our way.
No, just certain minimal requirements, that's it.
And I felt like you were mocking things when you said something about, well, when are the Indians coming? I really am doing research right now and found a tribe, and my family has linked back down. They migrated down to the United
Danielle,
States.
what good's that gonna do you? Why are you wasting your time on that?
Because it can help us to live the way that we want to live, that we feel the way of our
Right.
belief.
Not for purposes of this hearing, though, right?
What do you mean?
For purposes of this hearing?
Well,
you think
couldn't they
that's
come in
important?
and claim jurisdiction and get us out of this?
No,
They can't?
no,
Isn't there some type of treaty that says that
The Indian
No.
Welfare
the
Act?
Indian Welfare Act?
no. That guy in Texas is,
No. It has nothing to do with him. I have people
no.
working for
All
the
they can do
tribe.
is make an appearance in this case, file that I take jurisdiction under a certain statute, certain standards of custodial privileges, and I apply those. They're not much different than the regular
The
ones.
federal judge stated to us that there was a treaty, and that is what we're waiting
Who
on.
filed the federal case, by the way?
The habeas corpus?
Yeah.
That was also that gentleman.
Oh, that guy?
Well,
Yeah.
no, we filed
Well,
it.
we went to go file it.
I
but
mean, he
wrote
did it personally? I mean, who wrote it for you?
He wrote it.
Yeah, well, be careful about who you get for legal advice. That's all I'll say about that.
Yeah.
Not everybody is a sheep or is a wolf when they're wearing sheep's clothes, trust me, but,
Yeah, I think we've been drawn into a situation
A web.
that is really,
gotta get it unstuck.
yeah, well, we're doing as best as we can.
Get this Val out of the way, get Allison visit in, it sounds like you're making, and get these visits done, don't have any problems, you know what, if they're standing around you at the home, who cares?
It's not about that. What happens is, as we go to a
You get your
visit,
son back quicker if you just get with the program.
I get that, but
Okay.
we should have rights. This is an invasion, and they haven't proven
All right,
neglect.
which is more important, Christian?
What?
Your rights or getting your son back?
Both are, because both of them go
Well,
together.
you don't get those options. Which is more important? You need to have a face-to-face
so
talk.
you need a parent, you need a licensed parent.
No. Which is Which is more important? Complying or worrying about your rights?
To get our child back is more important.
All right.
But we're,
Tell me about your rights later.
yeah, but I mean, it's not, what we're worried about, I guess, is that we do this, and then they invade our personal area, and they'll keep lying. They've already lied. But you're already believing their lies. That's why we're still here.
I'm acknowledging what they have to say. I'm acknowledging what you have to say. You think most people spend as much time talking back and forth to y'all as I did today, trying to figure out what's going on with y'all? Most judges would give y'all about 15 minutes. They'd be out that door and they'd say, when those folks get their thinking right, call me.
So
They would
everyone
do all that.
believes lies over truth.
Yeah. Listen, as I said, the judge is a finder of fact. Your persistent belief that they have lied is not helping your cause.
It's not a
It's
belief,
not
I can
helping
prove it.
Anybody's cause, really.
That's exactly right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah, I think that we need a better
Why
process.
don't you go to law school? Go ahead. I challenge you. You think you can do better? Jump
no,
in.
not do better than you.
No, I'm not. Hey, listen.
What
I'm all for
saying is,
people who.
as a whole, I think DHR has too much power to
Why
destroy
don't you
lives.
set up an agency, set up establish an institution, develop a foundation,
We
make
just
a
might.
change.
We just might.
We might
You
be
should.
against for that.
The benefits of child rearing, natural childbirth, alternatives to
Yes,
this and that.
yes.
Go for
The
it.
way that I
That's
say
what I
it
wanna
is-
It's a
do.
good environment. Alabama's pretty warm. I know you think you got a backward state, but hey, it's the buckle of the Bible Belt.
I want to get out of Hellfellen, aka
I've had a lot
Heflin.
of drug users and people in front of me, murderers, killers, drug dealers. They want to get out of Alabama too. We're the harshest state in Alabama. I mean, in the nation for punishing people who break the law.
Yeah, well, we want to get out because of the,
Yeah,
the
because you
lies.
guys.
Not because
Well,
of,
you're about
we've
to
done
get clear
anything
about
wrong.
that. The more attention you give to what you're supposed to do right here, the quicker the clouds are going to break for
Let
you.
me ask you, can you understand this?
Yeah.
If a person wants to live with possessions, that's between them and God.
By the way, that's
If another person doesn't want to live with possessions, that's between them and God.
Right.
There should be no war between us as brothers and sisters.
I
That's all
agree
we're
with
saying.
that. I agree with that. But don't forget, in the midst of living lean, as you want to do, living lean, like
Just
simple.
with needs.
Yeah. In the course of doing that, you must be sure that a child
Has his needs.
has its needs met, which are what? What are the 6 basic needs of human existence? Pavlov's 6 basic needs.
He needs shelter. He needs clothing. He needs food.
Shelter is normally defined as security, right?
Well,
That's
yeah.
the first one. First
Uh-huh.
level of Pavlov's hierarchy of needs.
Food, water.
Security,
Yeah.
all that. And the last one, aesthetics or leisure. That's the last thing. So, education, all that builds on each other. So we're just asking you to get the bottom.
And we've had it the whole time. We had it since the shelter hearing.
We proved that
We'll
we had a
see in
lease.
about 2 or 3 weeks and we won't want to. Right?
Well, you can see it right now if you want.
He's saying that there's a certain procedure that we have to go through.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks. I appreciate you speaking up for me for a change.
This is
Frustrating.
Yes, and
Pull your hair out. You're losing
and
it
our
already. You're going to lose more and more.
Our child is at the expense of our child.
You know what, though? It's a tragedy that y'all haven't been able to bond these 3 or 4 months or 5. It's terrible.
It's a tragedy that he was just brought into this world and he's tortured.
Yeah.
He's being tortured.
Well,
It is torture.
no.
I'm all about infant memory, and he is going to remember this. Subliminally, he does.
Don't beat yourself up over that. I'm not so sure he will.
He will.
They will.
I-
It's
the-
been
I-
proven. It's been proven that.
Well, listen, I have a 4th grade school teacher daughter, and she's huge on those first 2 years of child's development.
It's actually 3 years that he needs to be with his mother.
Who are making good decisions.
God chose us to be his parents.
Mm-hmm.
God chose us, not anybody else, not the foster parents.
And we're not on drugs.
When the-
We don't drink alcohol.
When the time comes and you finally get him at least placed back with y'all, and look, when I place him, I'm gonna put him back. Subject to your doing what you're supposed to do here, I'm gonna put him back with you, quick. But when I do, we just close the file. It doesn't happen. He's put back with certain requirements.
That's just it. That's coercion and conversion.
No, you think there are gonna be over broad requirements? It's gonna be nothing that you're not gonna be doing. You won't even notice what they are because you're gonna be doing them normally. You're gonna be saying, oh, that's no requirement. I do that anyway.
Like what? Can you give one example?
Heating, water, clothing, food, shelter. What you teach them about nature and about religion and faith and stuff, that's up to y'all. That's just basic. Just don't screw yourselves up by side issues.
Yeah, but we're innocent here.
Okay.
I don't
Nobody's
understand.
accusing you
Now,
of
I
guilty.
can see how maybe we can screw ourselves up by taking third-party interests that are coming in and getting
Yeah.
us to go other routes.
People have
Is that against the law with those notices?
It's not against the law. Yeah, the notices of the intent to file a lien is a direct threat. And I got a case, in fact, I should let you read it. There's a guy who came into Calhoun County. He didn't offer those liens things. He didn't offer them in a family matter. He offered them to extort money from businesses. And what he did was he filed liens against people's homes individually. It's a tactic that people are using to intimidate folks.
We're not going to be
So,
doing
but it's the process of actually filing the lien. It's not sending out
Well,
notices.
but when you receive a notice, that's like a notice of intent to serve a subpoena. That means the flag's going up. It's kind of like the trumpet's being sounded.
So
We're
how
about
can
to
we
charge.
withdraw that?
Get it withdrawn. Just say, hey, we're done.
So send letters to every person we already did, because we've been thinking about doing
Oh
that.
yeah, just say, hey, look, all that other stuff's off the table. We just want to
here's
come
what-
back. We're dismissing any intents we have to do liens or whatever.
So when would we be arrested?
Get that done as quick as possible.
Would we be arrested because of the notice, or would we be arrested because of
You know,
filing a lien?
I can't tell you about that. I can just tell you what happened with that guy. The fact was he did in fact file a lien. Okay,
And then he was arrested.
and he got arrested. He had
It's-
11 counts of what I call extortion. Because number one, he didn't get a judgment. He filed a lien without first getting a judgment, so he didn't know what the law was, right? So he files his lien, and without having judgments made first. So they were improperly done. They were illegal, and he used them to extort money. Just like you might be threatening. I'm not saying you did this, but I mean you could be saying like, hey, if you're going to threaten me, I'm going to threaten you. That's kind of the way this works. You don't want to get into what I call a spitting contest with people in charge.
Well, one thing I did agree
Well,
with.
you know what he ended up getting? I mean, just to the final story.
Sure.
20 years.
Well, we don't want that.
No, I know.
We
That was
just-
my
we just want-
illustration.
We just want our child.
Yeah.
And the only reason for the demand notice is to show the laws that they have broken against us.
Well,
I'm a firm believer that the badge holder should
Christian,
uphold the law just as much.
Pick your battles. Do you think I just showed up one day and became the judge? I was the youth minister making about 20 grand a year who had nothing and no power, no authority, no nothing. And I thought, what? The system needs input from good, normal thinking, right thinking people. So I went to law school. I'm trying to make a little difference. Do you think I like wearing this? You think I like all this stuff? You know what this means to me? Nothing. You know what I'd rather be doing? Wearing jeans.
And spending time with your family.
Absolutely.
That's what we all.
I got
all
one
we
at home
want.
right now waiting for me to come home. She got a cold. She came back from Tuscaloosa last night. She's down sick. So we made soup and sandwiches. Give her hugs.
Yeah.
All right, well, we won't keep you any longer because
That's
you
okay.
have children to go with. Okay.
Catching third base and shortstop.
Yeah,
High
catch you too.
school.
A little bit
I
every
caught
day.
1 year in Plymouth.
I made the all-city team.
Where's your home originally?
Savannah, Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good ball down there.
Yeah. Came in 17th place within the entire state, tallying up
Your
all the
team or
batting
your
averages.
your average?
My average for my batting average, it was 714.
That's awesome. Oh God.
Yeah.
I think I bat 463 in high school. But
Wasn't a home run hitter. I was just
No,
fast at
well,
first
you're
base.
slender, so yeah.
I was
yeah,
fast
speed.
at first base. Yeah.
I played basketball and I danced.
My friends who know me, and they know I'm a judge, of course, but over the years I've been accused of missing my calling. They said, you know, because I played high school baseball, but my favorite sport was basketball. And my daughters, I mean, my youngest one won back-to-back state championships in volleyball, but both of them played basketball all through high school. And I'm a basketball junkie, so, you know. You like it?
I
Now,
like
where's your
playing
home? Your
it.
accent's not from here, so.
I'm from Massachusetts.
Is that where y'all were headed around the New Hampshire area? What's y'all doing up there?
I was living in New Hampshire because I was working. I had a really good job, but when I got pregnant, I just wanted to focus on him. So I wanted to focus on serving other people, and we've been talking about it for a long time, and I just wanted to.
Y'all hooked up.
So if you wanna.
Who did your wedding ceremony? Did y'all have an official wedding ceremony?
No, we actually just got married because of having to deal and walk within the system. And we figured it
just
would
want
be
to look
easier
a little
for
bit
us.
more like.
Well, no, just in case we had to handle situations
Yeah,
dealing within the
I said,
system.
Mr. and Mrs. looks better than to have what live-ins, I guess you might say.
Yeah, and ultimately, all we were trying to do is just free ourselves from possessions. But the problem is today is that everything's owned and operated, and it becomes very difficult to do that.
So if we can compromise by living.
No, you will.
And you'll find that
There are a lot of people who live private lives. You know, just stay off the grid. Don't cause attention to yourself. You know, but when you have emergencies and they're medical, make sure you get attended to. Don't try to hunker down and be afraid.
That's what we did.
I know, but it bit you because some other things that were happening, you know, they were like, you know, because, look.
And when they came in.
you know that she was assaulted.
Yeah, I heard about the probing. Yes, I read about that. I heard about it.
And that was the only thing I was not okay with because I didn't know who it was, but I was open to hospital treatment.
I understand that.
They want to say good
So-
Samaritan, but not when somebody tells you.
Right, I understand that.
And even
And of
if
course,
you-
that lady,
let's
that
say-
lady was supposed to be like, wasn't she supposed to be like an OBGYN nurse or something like that to have some
No.
expertise?
Uh,
Wasn't she
okay.
trying to find out if the baby was breech or not?
Right.
Okay.
I have no idea if this woman, I don't know who she
Don't even know
is.
if she washed her hands.
Correct.
Well, but I think she said she had gloves.
I think
on.
she had
okay.
gloves on. I think
But
it was
here's
dark.
the thing, though, is that we don't know who those people are.
I understand.
And
But you know what, Christian? What do you think you're going to get when you go up on a hill and nobody knows who you are up there?
The ambulance
right.
that we called.
They would have been strangers. And you know what?
And I'm fine with that, but
And
they were
Daniel-
professionals.
15, 20 minutes later, the child could have been dead.
But 13
Yeah.
hours later, he wasn't.
Lucky for you.
Well, there could be a lot of coulds.
I would have, could have said,
You know
they
what I'm
could have
saying?
never got involved. That would have been great.
I mean,
And I wouldn't be
we
spending
can-
my whole week
we have-
listening to those tapes.
we have people taking their kids driving them on fast cars, fast boats. There's all kind of threats out there.
Buying dope,
There
Oh,
are
that's
people out there with their kids and they're on drugs.
buying McDonald's hamburgers.
Yes,
They gotta
we
make
don't
french
do that.
fries.
Yes.
He would have the utmost nutrition, the utmost love. He would.
Speaking of french fries, 40 pounds large here. I got to get off of them.
You should research the stuff that they put in there.
Oh, it's terrible.
It's not even,
I know.
it destroys the body.
And this is why he also wanted
Don't
to be
forget
off.
to make copies of your records. They're going to want to see them, you know. I mean, that was past mental health treatment. It's no big deal to have anxiety stuff. I know great
It
people
says depression and ADD, mild depression, no paranoia, no hallucinations, and no schizophrenia.
Well, y'all are awful defensive to not be paranoid.
But it's because of what we've been dealing with.
Do you know what we're dealing with?
All the
I got
lies.
a whisper of it here today.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Have to
there's a
listen
lot
to
of
all that.
lying coming from over there and other places.
Christian.
Yeah. Well, here, I'll tell you like this. Listen real quick. Brian Tumlin, we reported an assault to him in Cleburne County. He said he was going to investigate it. We called him back 3 weeks later. He didn't even investigate it. He told us that the powers that be, or the assistant DA, told him to drop it. How do you know that there's no claim there if you don't investigate
Right,
it?
I agree with you.
So that's the only reason why we're very skeptical with
And the
everything.
assistant DA kind of admitted that he said
The
that it
assistant-
wasn't a crime and to not investigate it.
And Brian McVeigh told us.
They
He
get
said,
screened.
yeah, well, Brian McVeigh told us that no, he should have investigated and he was wrong.
Right.
And but then she tried to go in and meet with the victim
What happened?
advocate. And
What happened?
Well, the assistant DA came in and tried to bully her.
No, I mean, what happened in the event, the assault? What was that all about?
We called 911.
Wait. No, I'm not talking about the.
This plays into it.
No, wait. Are you talking about from this case? You mean? You talking about the lady who probed you, or are you talking about some event that occurred before?
No, the
that?
assault happened within this case of us calling 911.
Oh, it was the probing issue with the.
It wasn't a probing. This woman stuck her hand inside of me when I started bleeding
That's
and
pretty.
made me bleed
That's
more.
pretty probing.
Yes.
The entire hand.
Okay.
And I had already, he had already called 911, so that plays into everything.
Okay.
He called 911, we were alone,
Here's probably what happened. Once you told them what happened, this is the opinion they probably formulated. The law says that emergency, whether you think it was one or not, you call 911, that's kind of emergent. Emergency, there's a doctrine called emergency invites rescue. So if
civilians that
yes.
don't show a badge
yes,
and stick their hand up in you.
If there's there's also a Good Samaritan law where a Good Samaritan would have immunity in the event that there is an emergent circumstance. So,
That's
so
fine.
those are the legal doctrines that were probably in play that caused that investigation
So
to go
if
south.
I could see a pregnant woman on the side of the road, I am not licensed to be an OBGYN nurse. I can go up to her and shove my hand up in there and make her bleed more. Is that correct?
That's
All
not
while she's
exact-
saying-
that's
all
not
while
exactly
she's-
what happened.
All while she's saying nothing.
And that's not exactly what happened.
She said no.
But that's what happened
Yeah.
to me. I was yelling no because I was having contractions and I was waiting for the ambulance and I wanted a professional that I knew was a professional to check me, knowing that my baby was in there.
Yeah,
I
they
didn't
probably,
want-
I don't know.
Now let's look
I
at it from the other perspective. Let's say that they were claiming to be nurses and they know they're nurses and they come back in here and they do that.
They wouldn't have done what they did
They
if
would
they were
not have
nurses.
done it the way the policies say. Policies say you don't stick it in anybody in
When they're
bleeding.
bleeding and they're contracting, you don't do it. We've talking to midwives about this. You do not do it. You observe the mother.
Wasn't there some commentary about the baby being possibly breached or something like that?
That woman that stuck her hand in me said he was breached. He was not breached.
Okay.
I went to the hospital
Thank
a half
goodness.
hour later.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
I had a sonogram
Well,
6 weeks before that.
People give birth breached.
Oh, dangerously.
Yeah.
No, I know.
Well, dangers are part of life.
Gyrating. That's why
Well,
you
part
don't.
of
That's
life.
why you don't go up on a hill away from close medical care and have children. Darn.
Yeah, but that's a part of experience.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's experience.
You want to roll the dice on that?
But what I'm trying to
What
say
you-
though
what
is,
you did.
what I'm trying to say though is, if you never touched a hot stove, how do you know it's hot?
Yeah.
You take away the experience of
We'll
life.
never do
Because-
it again, I can tell you that much.
There you go.
But the license, the parent is taking all that
You don't
away.
touch a hot stove because your mom and dad have told you not to touch a hot stove.
But do you still go touch it or not?
Most people would not.
Most people
Most
do
kids
do.
do.
Yeah, not me. I had the old wooden spoon.
Yeah, well, most people touch it.
I gotta go. I got a meeting. I'm supposed to have a meeting at 1:30. I'm already late for it.
Okay, how can we get out? Can we go out this way?
I think that door's unlocked. Straight out. Keep your head down.
All we're asking for is you
I know. I got that. Trust me.
And we miss our child,
I know.
and he misses us.
We'll fix it.
All right. Have a good day.
Yeah.